it's in the neighborhood he wants to live in. He wants to live in. I know we're moving east back now.
Welcome, everybody. Tickled to see you here. Tickled to see this event happening yet again. It's something that the gallery has always believed in as far as arts and culture in Las Vegas, that it all weaves together. And so words, art, which to me is things I can't say. So it's very much a match made in heaven to me. A few little introductions and housekeeping notes. I am Nancy Good. I'm the gallery owner, and this is my art in the gallery, which is up through the end of the year. There will be a closing reception on December 29th, which is a Friday, from 6 to 8. I'll be doing an artist talk as well about that. I also run a small nonprofit out of here, so any donations are tax deductible for the nonprofit. Got a little tip jar over there on the table with Venmo and Zelle, and cash is always accepted as well. And beyond that, it's just back to the philosophy of supporting each other, cross-pollinating our gifts and our skills and our resources. So that's why I love working with Avantpop and Shwa and Sugar. They support the community in tremendous ways as well, and we all need each other. So hashtag it takes a village, which is something I hashtag all the time. And one final announcement, I'm not going to tell you it. If you want to hear it later, I can do that, but there is a poem of mine hiding in this piece behind us in the red banding. So it's like a little Easter egg treasure hunt to find. You have to physically change your perspective to see it, which is also a thread of mine that runs through all of my works, that the invitation to change your perspective, to look at something in a new light, including the world around us, the people we meet and the people we're in relationship with, and the circumstances that are challenging to us. So anyway, on that note, Shwa.
Well, thank you, Nancy. All right, welcome poets and friends and family and all you good folks coming out to hear us locals read. We're glad to have you here. One thing I just want to mention before we get started is if you do have a drink, please keep it in your lap, keep it from getting kicked over, spilled, not spilled on yourself. I need you looking good up here. We are streaming live today, so friends and families can watch it if they're out there. And like you, and like poetry. So, speaking of family, I thought I would, as Nancy said, it takes a village, as we all know, and, poets here, we've all kind of cross-pollinated. A lot of us here throughout this weekend are from different poetry events. We carry a lot of these poets, their books in our bookstore. Some are Avantpop publishing poets that we're really excited to have come out. There's a couple of changes that we'll talk about that happened that we'll inform you on here as the day goes on. But I thought I would start off with a little poem that I wrote when I was 20 years old. And I come from a crazy mixed race family. And so today I thought I would throw in a bunch of poems about all of that. So this one's the one when I was really young. The title of this is "The Family Tree Ain't Nothing But History. So what do I tell my mother? We could drink every night, slow, cold forgiveness, humble's long day fright. Drunken nights are doors into my daydreams. The only time I cry is in my sleep. Reality just ain't what it seems. My father was Jim Morrison and psilocybin. My mother was a Native American slave. In my last life, I was a pirate who went down with an ancient island. In this life, I'm a pilot who only comes down every other day. Jesus was an alien placed into a virgin in a time of need. So where's the beginning to the conspiracy? Broken car bones don't run anymore because slumbering burns off energy. So don't forget, every soul is electricity. Along the back streets in the morning, families wait in cars to visit the prisoners in the stockades. Do you still believe the foolish things your parents say just because they believe in God and traditional holidays? How many orbits around the sun until the moth burns its wings? Solitude is the next plan of attack for a shrinking society. Living at the edge of a much larger universe, dark is but a state of mind. We're all dinosaurs, laughed the monkey. I'll meet you at the sauna to burn off this week's impurities, forced daily detoxification. With psychic terrorism, we need vitamin D. Medicines made from poison chemical companies. Brainwashed at birth, some stumble onto insight. When there's nothing else to eat, make tasty meals from dead animals on the roadside. If cards are played to pass the time, then the hand you were dealt is not unlike mine. It could be worse. Instead of war surviving nurse, your father could have been an enemy soldier who raped your mother and murdered your brothers and taught you the true meaning of the word cancer. But in 100 years, no one will care unless you build a multinational corporation. So drink your wine and spend the night with your best friend, your cat, or a caring neighbor. Because as you can see in these times, not even a rooted tree can last half of forever. Thank you. So the first real poet of the day, I'm excited because I bought their book before we had the bookstore here, and this will be the first time I've heard this person read. So please help me bring up to the stage here, Heather Lang-Cassera.
Wonderful way to start the weekend.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much to Avantpop Books and to Core Contemporary for bringing us together this weekend for such an exciting event. Today I will be reading from Firefall, an eco-poetry manuscript forthcoming with Unsolicited Press in 2025. I do need and want to share that the writing of this manuscript was supported in part by the Nevada Arts Council and the National Endowment for the Arts through a project grant for artists. So I'm grateful for all of the things that our community does for us, so thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. Firefall. The nest, the lint, the fire, which could have happened. The oleander opening their white, hot petals in the Mojave summer of our backyards. Amidst our failing houses, the faceless Triceratops figurine capsized on the sidewalk, reminding us of an article about climate change, one about how, just maybe, global warming also brought about the dinosaurs. Yet, we have neither feather nor scale, despite weathered faces from too many days of sun. And this too shall pass, the clouds and their quivering bodies, because even something made of so much water can be considered as such, an impulse to compare the momentary cracks of lightning to the fractured pavement on which we walk, our feet skipping like heartbeats in chests deep and scared of thunder, a burst of cloud and sound echoing, saying what we never quite could. Will the fragments of unfound solitude shift through the corrugation of a new refrigerator box, empty and abandoned, amidst the soft light, wood-like, but not quite, smell of cardboard, waiting carefully just beyond the curb. With all this tender kindling our mouths cannot preserve. Thank you. I'm really thrilled that we already have a dinosaur theme going. That made my heart so happy. So thank you for sharing that poem with us. Bookstore people, my people. Not wanting to care for the pigeons, such small wanderers, their patterns of negative night sky bodies. Not wanting to love their heart-curved flesh, too large for the dry riverbeds of my hands. Not wanting to justify my unshadowed tenderness for something buoyed and overripe an understanding of our own need, of her own need, and surrounded by silent songbirds, not wanting two wings almost identical in symmetry, shadows that smother the ground, not wanting invisible tongues of perfect pink oleander forever pressing onward, even in this arid sky. A birth cry, a death breathing, an intangible hope of inconsolableness. Available only from yesterdays, these fingers become bandages for everything in my body that might someday be broken. The obscurity of other blunt souls dredges bee pollen as bright sorrow. Horizons as weeping everythings, murmurs as fragile bundles, anguish illuminated in each of these exquisite albums. So a lot of these poems are inspired by downtown Las Vegas and, my time out walking or chatting with neighbors or just being a part of the community. And then they are also very heavily steeped in an exploration of climate change and all of the environmental concerns that we are, experiencing and that we need to think about and do something about together. Delicate enough to be risked, always empty by running, pink and bleating with wilderness. New homes choose the undeniable, the forest, frenetic, the cobalt warming. You touch them apart from me. An unnerving room, unidentifiable, my name watches me. I walk the length of the floorboard rivers, my hands shadow apprehensive but ready, silent as a sliver of sharp paper. The possible, the darkness, the huddled dirty at the hem, the woodland smoke scratches at the door. Like a compass wound and broken, a safety pin no longer blanketed by wildflower corsage. A place that is anywhere but here, a flock of birds, tissue thin from where we stand. A life, an object exposed, then unspoiled. Mistaken and unchanged. Like someone in gray wool socks, drenched, coming back to you before winter. And then I'll close with this poem, which is the last poem in the manuscript. Wanting water, here is where I return to when I am feeling without you. When object permanence fails me, when the ocean perch within my chest turns into a ruby-throated hummingbird, and then back into a fish out of water yet again, all without ever being seen. But in the end, everything is hidden from at least somebody. It's Pisces season. What we let go can be written down, and then burned, and then, instead of buried, lost within the moon water, which was made by abandoning open-mouthed vessels beneath this late night light. This time, under this terrestrial body, it can only be the small things that we let go. When we were young, you would look up asking to be held. Would our mother empty her vacant pockets, pulling them inside out, as if ebbing like tidal flow? As if each denim basin could be an entire sea, only to say no, to say she had nothing more to offer. What does it mean that I am so much older than when you were, when you died? Why can I no longer remember the shape of you, sister? When we would swim. Thank you, folks. I'm so very looking forward to the following poets.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. Let's give it up again for Heather. And you know, Heather's not just a poet, she's a fantastic potter. And if you like dinosaurs, follow her Instagram. She does some amazing dinosaur pottery work. It's just so cool. And just a real quick, Nancy's not just an artist, but she's also a poet and a performer and musician. And she, I think she started the hair band craze in the 80s. If you check it out, she was the lead singer of a heavy metal band with the full hair and everything. Like, I think she set it off. You know, Rat and all them followed her. So. All right. Well, let's bring up our next. That's another life, huh, Nancy? Rock and roll, babe. Well, speaking of rock and roll, our next poet is an Avantpop published poet, and we sold out of his first edition. We're now on his second edition of his book, which is pretty impressive. His good friend Seth Singer did the art for each poem. The book is beautiful. The poems are intense. The art is intense. And we love it. So please help me welcome to the stage, Garrett James Dillon.
Thank you very much. How's everyone doing? Right on. Before we get started, I did want to say I'm actually doing 2 sets today. Today I was covering for our friend and fellow poet, Janice Parker, who's currently dealing with some personal stuff. But I just wanted to get around for Janice Parker. We couldn't be here. She's an amazing poet. I'm honored to be here reading all y'all. How's that? Yeah. That's probably better. Yeah.
Thanks, Shwa.
Right on. These first 2 poems are from the book, Reflections from the Haze, which, as Shwa said, is available for purchase. I guess, content warning, there will be profanity and the mention of the use of drugs. So here we go. First one is called One Way. Is it still a smile if there are no teeth? I ponder these sorts of inevitabilities. Defeated decades, cherubs on the nod, corpses swaying from chandeliers. Downhill coming faster than you expected. Exits fewer and farther between. Promises to decay kept sacred, satisfied. Nothing left now except the horror of a one-way street. That's my punctuation. I think it's up to my wife. Round of applause for Seth Singer, by the way. He did the illustrations in my book. His artwork is quite prominently displayed. Anyway, next one is also in the book. It's called Breakfast of the Damned. It's better to be strung out than strung up. Ran down ragged on the wrong side of a come up. Dawn twitches with conspiracy. Amphetamines and vodka on an empty stomach. Peripheral figures whispering in downward spirals. Cornered by cortisol and repetitive relief tactics. Burned glass turns over as the earth seems to stand still. This next one is called $108.35. Fresh air is fine, but I've had better. Inhaling deep the breath of dissociative angels. Those imperfect messengers and unreliable narrators who speak in riddles that tickle my spine and drain my wallet, then sing a distorted chorus as I exit their inverted paradise, returning wild-eyed and neutralized to a place some might call home. But the angels, they called me, and so back down I go. All spirituality is transactional. I just like to keep the receipt, to fold it up into an origami albatross and set it on fire, or watching the flames suck in the oxygen greedily, before burning up and blowing away down dirty streets. I watch and feel nothing but a strange kinship and intense cravings. In my experience, that's better than feeling nothing at all. Yeah. This next one is about how much I despise sage. It's called Where the Wicked Are Welcome. I can't fucking stand the smell of burning sage. My roommates will occasionally cleanse the house in this way. Smoke shop bargain brujeria intended to fend off bad vibes and evil spirits. The irony is lost on no one, but my rent is paid in full, so I'm not going anywhere. I just shut my door and smoke dope until they're done, and then I smoke some more. The thick marijuana clouds forming a safe haven for demons I don't even believe in. My ex-girlfriend who lives upstairs complains of sleep paralysis. I respond with pieces of Xanax like cut-up bandages. My other friend warns me of the dangers of negative vibrations. I steal his magic mushrooms and try to find the frequency. And yet, there are no monsters underneath my bed. My curses are all self-inflicted and well documented at this point. And the only things that keep me up at night were paid for that exact purpose. I am the only resident to not yet suffer some sort of foot wound, and the only resident that walks barefoot on beer runs to the corner store, dancing through the broken glass minefield of smoke-ranked sidewalks, and returning unscarred always. Now, my money is on materialism, that these are all just coincidences in a world of chaos, and that nothing lit up inside the house matters as long as it doesn't burn the fucker down. But sometimes, just sometimes, I get a kick by looking at it from the sage burner's point of view. I gave shelter to wicked forces in their time of need, and now they return the favor. Who knows? Maybe it's good to have imaginary friends in very low places. I'm going to close with this one for this set. This poem is actually dedicated to a good friend of mine. This December will make 7 years since they unfortunately passed away from a heroin overdose. My first book is dedicated to them. So I'll just get right into it. This one's called Kiara. She died in December and was buried in January. But once upon a time, she smiled in the summertime, freckled and mischievous, and we frolicked in the fall, downing bong loads and shoplifting malt liquor, hopping fences and swimming on shrooms in the moonlight. She'd feed me K-pins when I was having a bad trip, and I was her getaway driver on drunken nights when she'd ditch her grandparents' house on a day pass from Seven Hills Behavioral Hospital. Shout out Seven Hills. We kissed once on ecstasy, the second time we met, but don't give me the third degree. We kept it pushing platonic and moved forth as fast friends. I fell in love with a woman and cut ties with female homies to alleviate her paranoia, a projection I would later learn of the guilt she felt for her own infidelity. And so I wasn't there when the pills got too expensive and something cheaper crept in like a cancer, or when the flame from her lighter moved from tinfoil to a spoon. I thought nothing of long sleeves in the fall once we reconnected. Slurred speech was an integral aspect of our shared language. And so the secret stared straight at me with pinpoint pupils, and I still didn't see it. I wasn't there until I was, but by then it was too late. I threw a rose on her casket before she was buried. 6 months later, I shoved pills in the same dirt as I sobbed uncontrollably, breaking up a fat bud and rubbing it into the grass as my blood approximated pure vodka. I tried to beg a devil that doesn't exist for a deal that he wouldn't have agreed to anyway. I found a way to hate a God that doesn't exist even more than I already did. But the raw reality I have to live with is that I lost one of the best friends I've ever had the privilege of knowing, and the undying guilt and regret of having discarded like debris, because I thought there was always tomorrow to make things right again. And I had no one to blame but myself when tomorrow came for me, but left her behind for yesterday to keep frozen in finality. Yeah. She was here until she wasn't. Don't wait for tomorrow. It's always on time, so you better not be late.
Garrett James Dillon. I already say too much about him. So, but he did wake up early this morning to come on out, and we want to thank him for that. He was not supposed to be here till end of the day because Janice Parker, who is another one of our favorite poets, performs with us a lot, really great. Her husband has neck surgery, Scotty Parker, and so he was in a little bit longer than the hospital than they had planned. And he's just not able to do a bunch of stuff right now. And so, like stay home and take care of him. Yeah, so But Janice Sparkle, she'll be coming back to our other events for sure, so get ready for it. Now, this next one I'm very excited about. I just seen them perform recently, and it was beautiful and elegant and fantastic wordplay, just a really light on stage. So please help me bring up here Saturn.
Hey.
Woo!
Hello. This first piece that I'm going to perform, it will be memorized. Sorry, I don't do much talking. I'm always nervous when I come up here, so I just kind of.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine, dude.
Who am I? Where should I begin? Because shit, it feels like the first 22 years of my life was a lie. Mind covered in a daze, trying to blaze through all my issues. I knew I was always different, but could never find the right words. Boys don't cry. Timeline so distorted, caused by a childhood filled with generational trauma cycles. I spent years questioning if that movie was just some fantasy. Boys don't cry. Rediscovered in my late teen years, how? More like why? Why had I convinced myself it wasn't real? Why didn't I just trust myself? Can I be honest? Self-confidence should be higher. Still learning how to measure self-worth. Repeatedly doubting myself. It feels like I'm always drowning myself. I am masculine. Because that's what the world I grew up in taught me. Hard on me like 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Oldest of four, son of a single mother, between absent dads and shitty so-called fathers. The burden of setting a good example was left on my shoulders. Ask me when I had to grow up. There was no room for me to make mistakes. Every traumatic blow felt like a game of whack-a-mole. Something broke inside of me. However, baby, I messed that up. But baby, don't let this external mask fool you. I am feminine too. I like most shades of pink. Sometimes I like to paint the nails of my left hand. Intuition runs strong in these veins. I am a lover boy. Hopeless romantic, if you ask me, a simp in the eyes of projectors, and I finally take pride in that. I enjoy emotional intimacy. I have always been soft, embodying balance. However, society was and is my poison, dispersing through my body like venom from a snake bite, training everyone's mind like canine units on the police like the police task force, manipulating us into thinking that anything outside normal is to be ashamed of. But I was born to break the norm, to live. But I was born to break the norm, to live in my truth, blossoming into who I've always been underneath all these false identities, putting in the work to become a better me, reminding myself, accepted or not, I am everything. This is me, a trans man. I'm just a little extra nervous today.
We love you.
This next piece I wrote when it was last year around this time. It was for a full moon. It was actually the hunter's moon. Oh, Miss Luna, I could stare at you for hours. Nothing captures beauty like you dressed up in all white on a full moon, radiating light to all the cobweb crevices of my mind. They say you only bring out the crazy in people, spewing out tornadoes and hurricanes at their mental health. But for me, you bring me peace, brief clarity to my smoke-filled mind, casting upon you my biggest dreams and desires, casting upon you all my sad, soul-breaking thoughts. Oh, how badly do I want to change, but I don't know how or where to even start. I push everything I love and anything remotely good for me far, far from me. Casting myself into the sea of self-isolation. I hate it here, but I don't know how to function any other way. Fight, fight or flight instincts. I was built off of survival mode. Life is only getting harder, and at 23, I am burnt out. Dear Moon, I hope you can hear me. Help me release, I beg of you. I know this will be hard. Change has never been my strong suit, but Miss Luna, I'll assure you, I am ready for whatever is meant for me. Stagnant emotions and instant gratification doesn't hit the same anymore. I am tired of living a life that I no longer align with, requesting your energy to help me get back to loving and trusting myself again. Thank you for casting light when I need it most. I know you'll always hold space for me. And then this last piece that I'll be closing with, I wrote it the other day. It's a very short one.
New shit.
Restarting the journey of self-discovery. It all started with Pillow Thoughts by Courtney Peppernail. So I guess that's a good place to start. I guess that's as good a place as anywhere to begin. I'm curious for this time around. What will I learn? Will it reopen my heart chakra like once before? Only one way to find out. All right, this is it. Time to leave the old me and say hello to the version of myself that I'm chasing after. Ready, set, let go. Thank you.
Saturn, everybody. Yes. I love that poetry. I'm gonna waste no more time. Let's get Emily Hoover up here. Come on, Emily. Let's do this, all right?
Thanks, everybody. So good to be with you all. All right. I'm going to read 3 pieces from my chapbook, which came out this fall. It's called My Mother as a Serrano Pepper. It's out with Zeitgeist Press. A lot of us will be reading tomorrow as well, so looking forward to that. So I don't really provide a lot of context, but I'll say a couple things. So this book is about 3 things. It's about me, it's about my mom, and it's about mental illness. In many ways, it's a giant tear. So I'm going to work hard not to be emotional. So I've chosen some poems that may or may not, right, bring out those emotions. But I will shout you out, Saturn. I'm already feeling the thing, right? So I really just admire your work, and it's got me feeling big feelings. So what a privilege it is to read after you. All right. So this first one is called Mantis Religiosa, and it begins with an epigraph. The most famous example of mantis eating their own kind is the notorious mating behavior of the adult female, who sometimes eats her mate just after or even during mating. Yet this behavior seems not to deter males from reproduction. And that comes from National Geographic. The green mantis breathes, stalks, pounces, preys in budding grass, moves to my porch, camouflaging intentions. I'm not going to ask about your drinking problem. Have you counted your beers lately? Used to steal Playboy magazines, you see, to identify the curves of my body, to distinguish myself from you. Extinguished, we chased pleasures here, dug our treasures there, but can you still recall the time we cried became a figment, became fragment, became storage sold in a rummage sale for $10? I'm not going to tell you why the mantis preys. You know females, studded legs and all, are predators naturally. Mantis, let me ask you, do you prey for me? I reject synthetic silk and overcooked carrots and race cars that go round and round like circuitous conversations. Jim Morrison was able to break on through to the other side. My father still pinned in place. But the mantis kneels again, bows her head, signaling bloodless death, bereavement secular. The sky was sickly gray, the grass wickedly green, the road and brain flooded, the body bloated, belching, drowning. the rainy disposition depicted. Thank you. All right, this next one is a sonnet, and it's called Pain Constellation. The dazzling blue lights of Aquarius envelop me like gravity of strength otherworldly. Bruised skin and alias for submission turns yellow in the length of time it takes to let go. It's less than a light year. The water bearer transfers weight of flask from left to right hand to man planet that is my grief, which is not interred in this space, this now, but in a dead star that shimmers in the icy telescope of my mind, a bright supernova scar, echoing god of war, which tightened rope around my throat and signaled atomic collapse. Now my cloud returns achromic. Thank you again. This last one is longer, and coincidentally, it's called Saturn's Return. And this one has an epigraph attached to it as well. Now I'm realizing, I guess I really like epigraphs when I write poems. I don't know. So, beginning with the epigraph. The revolution period for Saturn, or the length of a year in Earth years, is 29.5, and that comes from NASA. I have always told myself there are two types of paranoia, healthy and unhealthy. I think about this as my husband stands outside on the porch of our home, staring at the police car circling our neighborhood. The palms above our pool dance in hot wind. Pigeons perch on the power lines, adding to sky art created by condensation trails. I pace around the concrete edges of the pool barefoot. 2,200 miles away, my mother sees men in trench coats that no one else can see. She can recite what the neighbors are saying about her. She dons her best thrift store dress, waiting for the men to take her away. She does this nearly every day, in between reruns of Criminal Minds. It's worse when my father is sleeping. He sleeps a lot. This house I bought but no longer call home parks me in what's fractured, like pool plaster I notice crumbling under the weight of water and time. The blades of the helicopter echo in my ear as they cut air. As I pace, I offer. It's an impossibility that her food is poisoned, that Social Security Administration has installed cameras in her home at the orders of the president, that her sister wants to sell their mother's jewelry. It's also an impossibility that the helicopter is looking for my husband, or that my feet will remain unscathed if I continue to revolve around this space. These are what therapists call bizarre delusions. Eventually, the soft skin on my feet will rub raw, and I'll have to pick my cuticles until they bleed instead. Eventually, the helicopter will find who it is scouting. Eventually, my husband will walk inside to scroll on his phone to avoid leaning into my family's dysfunction. And my mother? I talk softly to her the way I talk to my 2-year-old niece, granting permission to explore strange questions while voicing the authority to know better. She calls me mom 2 times, then corrects herself, for it is I who lived in her body for 9 months. She sings the syllables of my name. I look down at the blister forming on the sole of my foot. Once, I used to pace to avoid her voice, vowing to never pick up the phone after 8 p.m. I would hold the phone in my hand, feel it vibrate as her photograph flickered across my home screen, until the gravitational tug of her psychosis diagnosis became an umbilical cord,
A tether to a mothership I lost, regained, and lost connection with 10 years prior. Fastening my ankles and wrists to Saturn's rings, dusted with icy moon shards, I watched so many stars explode as I orbited the sun. My body, age 29, expands across desert summer. It spirals home. Thanks, everyone.
Emily Hoover, everybody. Yeah, well, thanks for keeping it punk rock, Emily, and no tears.
No tears.
Which
No
probably
tears.
set a wave off of tears throughout the rest of us, so thanks for keeping us all dry. Let me check here. Right, looking good, looking good. Well, our next poet coming up, I love his work. Has written probably one of the best alien poems that I've ever heard, and I've read a few and written plenty. So please, let's give a warm welcome to Mike Falconer.
Still morning? Most of my poems are about the end of the world and death and horrible things. So I've got 4 love poems for you. A little bit of my slant there as well. So this first poem is a love poem to Vegas. I love living here. This is called Snow in Vegas. There is snow in Vegas, like the star that burns twice as bright. It will be gone by tomorrow. The low mountains will lose their crispy green glaze as the Mojave reasserts its true nature. The gram and the book will reflect a fleeting moment when we look like everywhere else. Juxtaposition makes for great social capital. There is snow in Vegas. It will leave the news, and the locals will be happy for the water, with apologies for tourists for acts of God. The 15 and the 95 and the 215 will become black, slick, slippery when wet. Adventure time for desert cars and fair weather drivers. There is snow in Vegas, and as hell has frozen over for some, for others it is Tuesday. 300 days of sun has another 65 days for the 3 other seasons. Powder like on a mirror at a party, consumed, enjoyed, but fleeting, and oh so cliched. There is snow in Vegas, and while the city behind the city struggles with an every few years event, America's playground never misses a beat. There is money to be made in that there valley, a well-oiled machine that deals with active shooters, threats of terrorism, recession, and lockdown, has no time for frozen water, except in droughts. There is snow in Vegas. The heating is on in houses designed for AC. Pampered pups, protected from the heat, turn up their noses at a cooler and wetter outside. It is quiet for the services of daily life, with a self-imposed snow day for those who know no better. The residents who hanker for Seattle and Portland have their Cinderella moment. There is snow in Vegas. For what is lost is but misplaced, and will be back. The hopes and dreams of the unrealistic will be melt away, but always find succor. Like spirits seeking safety and hedonism, the Friday influx and the Sunday exodus is fleeting and surface deep. There is snow in Vegas, but not for long, and with the resonance of a street cleaning. This is a love poem for my dog Miles, who's a bastard. This is called Head on Feet. Lying in the detritus of the destruction of a once soft and stylish couch. 15 pounds of will, love, and unbridled energy. Some call it companionship, others call it love. A head on my feet, a relationship of equal intensity, need, and choice. Paws padding on tile, retrieving of the beleaguered soft toy, rescue and training, equal in determination by perspective. and context. Happy for food and shelter, happy for the wagging of a tail, in equal measures, a raison d'etre, or a live affair and love. This is for all those who like old science fiction books and tales of futures past. This is called Dead Letters from the Apocalypse Society. Thank you. Couldn't have done better. Couldn't have done better. Accuser of the brethren. What is here for me is what has gone before, from a time of desktop publishing. I absolve you of memory, but condemn myself to obsession. The slaughterhouse and the joy to burn, dead letters from the Apocalypse Society. These are the peaks in the deluge. But there are those that drown in nostalgia, maudlin the fatigue of futures past. Rage, putrefaction, pain and forgotten. Dreams of the end times, love poems to loss. Hippos are more dangerous than lions. Old science fiction's masquerading as progress. Tales of working class dystopia. Lessons never learned from a lack of hope. I see you, yet I choose the ignorance of the times. Thank you. My final poem is actually a real love poem. One to a relationship that's gone. So, this is called Perfume and Roses. I give you perfume and roses, like I bring the spectre of divorce. Kisses that make you tremble, and words to give you goosebumps. We fell into whatever this was, these snatched moments in elevators and museums, scandalizing of room service waiters, selfies from a different life, taken just for me. I am not excusing my moral failings, just like I don't care about yours. In my defense, you seemed miserable and lonely, and I made you happy. I am not the one who got between you and him. You guys did that all by yourselves, but you decided to bring him back between us, wrecking my world, choosing status quo and cowardice. But bitterness is unbecoming, replaced by silent sadness, memory of connection and reciprocating selflessness, the love story lives of books and movies, the sin of lovers, the freedom to dream, while looking at each other's eyes through the bars of a self-made prison. A language of the unsaid, results of listening to offhand remarks, proof of listening to someone who is not listened to. My gifts of perfume and roses, monuments to folly and failure, measured in memory, treasured by one, exiled to another life by another. Thank you very much.
Well, folks, that is round one. We got 2 more rounds today, so we're going to take a little break. Here's how it's going to go. We may have a food truck outside. They had car problems this morning, so they had a mechanic come. They were working on it. They don't know when they're going to be here, but they're going to be trying. So we do have waters down there. So if you want to get a water, Paso Bocos is a Colombian bakery at the end down here. There's also Sister Kim's if you need a burger, some fried food. And then we'll come back at, looks like 12:45. So we're going to go down. There's also the typewriter poetry happening down there, tarot down there. You can get tokens to pay for a reading in the podcast room or for the typewriter poem or for the tarots, or you can just give them to your poets because you think they're awesome. So, and the proceeds from that, we take a small percentage of that. The rest goes directly to your favorite poet. So the recordings that we'll be doing in our podcast room will be available on our website. And we're sending everyone down to
Simply Delicious Desserts is here.
They did? Okay, there you go. Well, we got some Simply Delicious desserts for them. So, anyways, we'll take a break. If you do come up to look for Nancy's poem, just be aware that the cord is here. We don't want anybody tripping. At least not that way. All right, folks. We'll see you in a little bit, okay?
Oh, yes.
Thanks. My name's Garrett. Anytime people read about masculinity. Oh, hi, sweetheart. So good to see you. Thanks for coming. Sweetheart. You know, I have both of your pictures on my fridge. Did you know? You remember the pictures that you gave me? Yeah. Good to see you both. How are you?
I'm here.
Well. One became a class. And it was so cute, right? They're just drawing the back.
Yeah.
And it gave me all these pictures that I put on my fridge. It was really cute. And then like you got this one, like and then purple. Oh, thank you. She's like, but I let her have the credit. Like literally, it was just like. I was like,
Sorry, the moderator again? I'm loving it so far. I love the alliteration.
And I just wrote that.
I just love it that this is actually called.
Oh, no, I mean, I love it already. Like I said.
Are you?
No, I'm really happy.
Oh, cool. I don't know about that. But
Yeah. Perfect.
you know, felt down, blah, kind of the daughter poem, the Kuskuda poem. David, all the strangleweed words, all the pictures of the horses. Okay, let's check that out. You got a picture of the little baby nursing? I mean, that's great. Yeah, for real.
You know what's up? I'm Rick.
Oh, yeah.
I work with
Yeah. Running battle.
You really get both of them, like, I never went to high school.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was, yeah.
Vincent here.
Yeah, she's stationed in Dallas, or is he, you know? No, she's also.
She lives here.
Well, I know, but like,
Yeah.
they're both active Air Force, right?
No, she's not. She never has been.
Okay, never mind.
She never has been. Actually, I thought that was cool. You know, you said something about, the origami. Yeah, I had to like dissect that for a second.
I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to your set too. I was gonna say, do you read often or?
Yeah, I'm from, hey buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read pretty often. This would be my third gig, kind of like in this purview, but I was in the regional slam recently. I'm trying out for the traveling team tomorrow, so I'm pretty nervous.
Oh man, best of luck. I hope this is like a good like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, I was catching a lot of what you were saying, and I think a lot of it is very subtle, but I was picking up what you're putting down.
I appreciate it. Some was not all what I was going for. $108.35, the one you referenced is how much it costs for 2 large tanks of nitric oxide. Yeah. Yeah.
gonna find it. In here, probably?
That door right there.
Perfect, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thanks. And what was your name?
I'm Rick.
Rick, nice to meet
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you. I'm excited to go here in just a minute.
you. Okay, awesome, thanks.
I'm gonna go on here in the second round. Little art galleries. Right there, that open door. Okay. This is trippy, and I am here for it. Oh, I think I found it, okay. Collective farces. Give us the laughing breath. Feel wholeness. Try to dance. Rootless play. Let us share the sweet pureness of soul talk relations. I belong to you, you to we, to us, to me, together bending your passions, collective cleansing, sharing. I love that.
And it actually continues on the bottom, it finishes on
There's
the
a little more
bottom.
down here?
Yeah, the other, go the other. yeah.
Oh. Found. In. And. Nancy good. I wrote something recently that kind of is very in tune with that. I'm learning that it is, a lot of things are very connected. A lot of things are not, there's not a lot of coincidences,
Yeah.
especially when you have a good intention about it.
Well, and it's thinking about back to how we're connected, always, so I'll read it to you.
Sure, yeah.
So-
Ooh, I'm behind the scenes right now.
Yeah, so give us the laughing breath of healed wholeness through delighted dance and guiltless play, and let us share the sweet pureness gifted through soul talk and vibrations, elations. I belong to you, to we, to us, to me,
I love that.
together, joining in compassion's catharsis and collective cleansing shared, found in freedom and release.
I love that. That's the line about I belong to you, to
We, I belong to you, to we, to us, to me.
Yeah, I totally, I vibe with that well.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of my stuff that's like that today, because I wanted to do a contrast. But I do have some stuff that's like that. If it's okay, I'd like to send it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Heck yeah. So did you paint all of these?
Yeah,
or-
this is all.
This is all you?
Yeah, this is, I'm a full-time artist.
This is awesome.
And the gallery primarily supports, other local artists in Las Vegas. I rarely show my work here.
But this is yours.
Yeah, this is my work. It also has other hidden elements. If I pull that, and I'm gonna turn down the overhead lights a little bit.
Trippy. I'm a big fan of trippy. Wow, Rick.
And the one next to it.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Like a blue ring octopus. Would remind me of. That's so cool.
And then the ones on that wall over there as well.
They do that as well?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. That's cool. I have one of these lights too. I think I might. Are these all for sale?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the list that's on the pedestals has the information about the show as well as the index.
Okay, heck yeah.
So, and there's a little vinyl letters next to each painting. So this one's O, that's P, this is and.
Heck yeah, I love that. That's weird, those are my initials.
So and if you shine it on here,
Oh, wow. Oh, that's trippy. How do you, is that a certain type of paint?
Yeah, it's a UV reactive, and then the one in the corner there as well.
It's like Dark Side of the Moon was listened to quite a bit. Making me, these are great, man. This is I
Thing.
like this. Heck yeah. Yeah, we're sitting back there on that blue because of the baby. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my son. But thank you
Okay,
so much.
yeah, and
Thank
you
you for
just
being-
can't, you just can't use that.
No, you're fine. Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So check it out. Hey. Hey, Russian stuff.
This the Shwa, and then this, and my dad, which is reading, I guess, is reading in 1232. So, and he and his illustrator signed it for me. I asked him about the jacket, and it's a heavy band powder lawns. About like all through it's like
My friend Ray and his wife are eating a franchise.
nice, nice, sweet. Oh, nice.
And he's traveled by transport.
great stories about the band. One, years ago, we're out with her family, you know, her dad, whatever. And I'm gonna pay for this meal, I'm paying for the meal. And then at the end of the meal, somehow the bill got sent, and my brother-in-law and Tracy's sister paid for it. And he was like, and we're sitting there, and Tracy missed it. I was so pissed, she went out and just smoked cigarettes, and I'm sitting there. Okay, we're just setting it up. Oh, here she comes.
I just was using the restroom.
I was telling him about the time that your dad freaked out that somebody took the bag. And he like threw the check into that row. You're all fucking, you fucking fuck me. He was really pissed. It's not like we're making him.
Christopher runs out. You transferred now.
You're like, obviously, that you
There it is. Just so you know, those two chairs there, I just put my bag down. I know exactly. Right? Yeah, I did. And if you guys, if you need it, that's what I do. Correct.
Yes, this is, hi Nancy.
Hi.
Got a guest here saying, yeah, this is Cork Contemporary Gallery. That's how it's made. Actually, she has other artists, but this is all hers, right?
It has to be all mine, we can do it.
That one in particular, I can't stop staring. Yeah, like your work has like a certain thing where it's like certain things that
I'll
just.
show you something that,
I like all the colors and stuff, but there's something about that one.
and that is called the archaeology of psychic structures. So, and I'll show you,
Looks like eyes.
yeah, let me show you something here.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, see?
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Oh.
It's like, I like the way she does it because it's like real. Because you could just like slap on sometimes there's like glow in the dark stuff, but that's not.
Yeah, but we're, you know,
It's like,
I'm interpreting ourselves, us as a species and our experience that are most physically, you know, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, whatever, and it's so many complex layers. And so I can't just.
that's definitely what it is. Yeah. That's what I get.
Over here.
And this one, so this one, did you do this one's got COVID written all over it? Right?
Not necessarily
it's not really-
intentionally,
yeah, no,
but
it's like
it's
suggestive
it's definitely biological.
Suggestive.
You know, we're made up of teeny tiny
So I
parts
think that was
that are always
the
moving.
first thing that looked like that.
Other things hiding over there.
Oh, see, there. Oh, I didn't even see this one, since I was sat with my back to it.
She used to be upstairs, this is
That's
her
cool.
space, huh?
I like it, it functions for all the purposes that I've had for the gallery from the beginning, and now I can actually do that, including the, we have a small nonprofit studio, artists and residents who's.
Right, right. Plus the storefronts right out there.
Storefront, I have a separate studio suite for my work, so it's, all, you know, it's like I can pull the curtain and then a small one space for.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and for, this is all retail space for local artists. It's back on.
Like little galleries where they don't have that space to do their own.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be able to do this without it, just, you know, because I'm a working artist, and actually it's primarily my art sales
Right.
that supports the gallery, because I want to have a curated space that takes the pressure off of artists to not have couch art,
Right.
you know, not have, you know, art that people unnecessarily understand at first glance.
Got it. And there's, oh, I see this
Yes.
writing in the
So
red.
in the red on top, and then the red on the bottom, so from left to right.
No, I didn't even,
See, if you catch it at an angle, you can see it shiny.
Hence the invitation to look at something that
Yes.
you like.
yes.
Perspective.
there we go.
You're welcome back in the studio. I'm just eating my lunch back there.
Okay, thank you. Very cool.
Yeah, I got some sports opens, I got some focus. They're for sale at the bookstore over there. Oh, there you are.
Did you try out that? How do you feel? Which one did you do?
Another one was protected like.
Yeah, we're sitting up here. I just need this one spot for myself. Find those. Sorry about that.
Good to see you. No, not today, tomorrow.
Wow.
That's viewing. Yeah. I'll be back maybe after the New Year, New Year.
So yeah, you said, protected black girls.
No, it's like,
You didn't do 3?
no, it's home and mutual.
Well, I thought they said you have 3 right?
I know.
That's super annoying. Saturday practice. Now I
So
got
home and mutual. Yeah. Change monarch, poetic and so, but they said changelings are the distinct. I feel like monarch and elder don't really have.
Would you like to meet? I feel like there's like 4 things. Because think about it. Yeah, you got bees, monarchs, they're a lot.
I love your mom. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good to see you.
They're a lot, they're a lot. Those 2 are a lot.
Well, today, just a while I need you, because they had a sign. DK Greg first, then Dimitri, then me, then Penne, and then Talk Poetry was after me. Yeah. So I'm like, those alone, I feel like they want them on the team, because their thing would do was memorization, but yet I'm telling them, I'm like, well, if that's the case, because everyone are to memorize your books, I'm like, yeah, and at the same time, you're gonna probably build it for you already have time, so that's why I say up in the next.
Yeah, because you got beat up, you don't see my shirt.
That's another thing, that's like when you're only one, not saying should be doing it, but like, if there's not.
Yeah. I'm super nervous about
They said it's same spot.
I'm saying, so like.
They're gonna have their guaranteed.
That's what I'm saying. All I
Are you
know.
understand?
Yes.
All I know is everything. And like, I would like to make it, but like, I still pretty well myself.
Yes.
So.
And you know slims are my thing, like, it's not the best.
Which we know. So Johnny won.
I was
You got this score of time.
bigger.
Which is great.
I got home.
That poem was the best poem.
I've got 2 slams. I even make this side to be that. Every other poem is like this feels like, but it's gonna have to religion score.
I'm good. I'll eat you.
Thank you for having me down. I'm really happy to have
They were asking me what you want. And I'm like, again, and I did say that for some time now, that's how you know you do that. I don't say I'm not a, and that's what I'm doing where I'm like that. I'm a I feel like the type of code I wrote books when
I feel like that would also be.
Well, there's the little like.
I need to ask them about. Oh, I should only give it 5
Still like. I still like haven't played it about that.
Who are you?
Like your,
This is my
Oh,
dog.
hi. Sadie, nice to meet you.
Let's get a picture of you.
It's possible already. I have your card. I'm gonna sit down.
That's all the outfits.
It's like.
have you, listened to Aaliyah? Yeah, she's like a huge inspiration.
Yeah, kind of your background.
Yeah, like I see her live, and she played her album once it back for live jazz band. It was like, hey, yeah, it was crazy.
I'm gonna go get.
So it's probably like kind of had to like this.
Well, I was able because I fed all this. It's just like
Yeah, I got it. She got
It's been a second.
Yes.
All right, is everybody in? Well, before we get started, everybody, I just wanted to remind you that you can tip the Core Contemporary Gallery here. We've got a tip jar here as a thank you for letting us come for free and hang out, especially with Nancy's beautiful art all around us. You can also get tokens that you can give at the bookstore, which you can give to the poets. You can use as a way to get your tarot read, or get a poem written by a typewriter a typewriter poet, and also our podcaster. Whew, it's a lot to get at. So anyways, keep that in mind. We all take donations, so help us support artists out, please. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep with the theme of family, just because we all seem to be like a pretty tight little poet family here in this town, and with a lot of different events that happen and a lot of talented poets in this town, it's great that we all get to connect and cross paths together. So this is a poem I wrote in my 30s, and it's about basically my family reunion. I come from a large mixed race, Mexican, native, and then throw in everything else in there, you'll find out. So the title of this poem is Mongrels. So the story goes, my great-grandmother, an old Mescalero Indian woman with long gray hair and a love for cactus, played with Geronimo when they were very young. There are many stories in my family that cover a plethora of adventures, close calls, and misfortunes. You see, I come from a long line of mixed race love affairs. The cultural melting pot that is the United States is my family potluck. Native American, Mexican, Native Mexican, American, African American, South American, Asian American, Caucasian half-breeds.
Yeah.
Our ethnicity being the lifestyle of love. I just butchered that. Our ethnicity being the lifestyle of love. And circumstance and happenstance, which you can't determine this by first glance. My cousin Raymond joined the army and said, there, everyone is just American. Nationally, I can accept that. And I guess being born there makes me a Californian. But deep down, aren't we all just mixed breeds? Collectively, simply earthlings? Also, have you noticed pure breeds always have the most disease? My mutt family has many stories because our bloodline crosses the global boundaries. So much like my ancestors, I roam the streets, driven by love for any adventurous earthling. All right, well, I'm really excited about this next part. When I first saw them perform, my wife thought, I was just really, really out of my head because it was at a bar and I was a little out of my head. But I stood up and I just roared for this poet. This was like one of the greatest. I was super, super excited. And I hope you are as well. Please help me bring up to the stage here Rick Wrights. Hey.
Okay, mic check. Sound okay?
Yeah. Bring it down. Yeah, like that.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Rick Wright. Thank you guys so much for being here. Can you get a shout out to Shwa real quick, please? Beautiful, pretty artwork. Thank you so much, Nancy, for giving us this space. I wanted to do a contrast today. So I'm going to do something kind of on the happier side, and then I'm going to do something not so happy. So this first one is about a very difficult thing that I went through. So shout out to Aaliyah for reminding me that we don't have to listen to rules, right? So we're expected to record these things and remember them, and sometimes they hurt, So don't mind me if I glance down because this is a difficult poem, so just please bear with me. This is called Reduced Induced. The way you look at our son overfills my heart with joy because it's more than love. It's the epitome of human experience. Looking at you, looking at him is healing my wounds. Imagine if everyone was loved by you. It's a love that penetrates any resentment, anything that still needs to be forgiven. It's a simple life, but it's the best kind of living. An image of him daily, but your visage is tattooed in my heart. It's a warm smile on a cold day. A quick flash of melancholy as you're no longer the girl that captivated me at the mall, but the woman that made me a husband. A father. I've got her. Now to keep acting like I still need to chase her. So many years apart, at times it feels alien when I embrace her. A love tested by miles apart, a few times on different continents. To say that I owe you is an understatement. No consonants. No confidence I had could have prepared me for that delivery room. On the third day of the third month, on the third floor,
of the third room, right around 3 p.m. It begins. A saga worthy of majesty. Unsure if this tale would begin with a tragedy. Noticing the cloud drift towards the sun as I looked out the window. For a span of about an hour, I wasn't sure if I was going to be Vilama or widower. A phrase that knocked me in my core, but you refused to let it in. The wave of fears, the flood of tears. Where is this team to administer medicine? I just met the team, and it wasn't much of an introduction. And I didn't know what we were in for, but we were in for something. Here's this button, press it down. No, quick, let's induce her now because her blood pressure's down. A flashback to when the Holy Spirit awakened me at the witching hour to find you passed out on the floor. Body laying limp, forehead by the door. And I have to remind myself that that outcome was ultimately fine, but my heart held hostage in my throat as we await the line on the monitor. Your son should be fine, Mr. Laura. It's just something for you to monitor. I was on edge for the saddest of news. To have a new job, my first baby, and still have to move, I wasn't sure if I could do it. I wasn't sure if I could provide. But it was all possible with you by my side. Inside, I felt weak. No, I felt frail. Would your body even fail with my son's first words being braille? I can't think about what could be wrong with him when I'm not sure what's wrong with you. The impossible question crept into my psyche. What would I do if I had to choose between the two? I'd say take me instead. But there was no time for that option. There was so much blood soaked on that bed. And I felt so helpless because there was so little that I could control. So I started praying to a forgotten God with every fiber of my soul, invoking the Great Spirit to bring my wife protection, keeping the evil spirits away to avoid my son's selection. No detection of a heartbeat for what seemed like eternity. It hasn't even happened yet, and I'm dreading paternity. Did I sell my body for this free health care? At this exact moment, I don't care. Because thank God we didn't need that referral. Because you said it yourself, you couldn't have done it without that epidural. But you did do it. And you did it in all your glory. You pushed and showed your strength. What an incredible story. And I'm just so proud of you for everything you had to overcome. I'm blessed to call you my wife and the mother of my son.
Hey.
That's a difficult one, man. So shout out to all the moms. Shout out to all the moms. So if you don't follow me, you should, at Rick Writes Poet. I'm doing a poetry challenge this year where I have asked some prominent people in my life to give me a challenge because I want to be the best poet that I can be for me. Not to be better than anybody else, just for me. So the first topic was given to me by Monarch, and it's about anger. This is called Telson Stab. Anger, an anomaly that I actively choose to explore. Anger, an anomaly that I actively choose to ignore. But since given the topic, I've been implored to explore what does make me angry. The following. I'm usually calm, cool, and collected unless I'm not hurt or I'm disrespected. Even though I make pretty decent money, I still gotta live paycheck to paycheck. Then after COVID, corporations' pockets only got fatter, while small business stories only got sadder. I worked my whole life to have a credit score above 800, and it still didn't matter. Because interest rates have interestingly only gotten higher. And unless you're one of those corporations, you're probably not qualified as a buyer. Because those land looters only want to buy land so they can hike up their feet. They don't care about birthdays or trick-or-treats or presents under the tree. That we can't afford groceries. And the shit we can't afford is grossly filled with shit I can't pronounce. And we're being target marketed for things that kill us in copious amounts. That my friend had to apply for something 5 different times before her insurance approved it. Meaning on 4 separate occasions, they didn't care about her life or if she would lose it. Sorry.
Come on.
That we're not only expected, but encouraged to work all of our lives. In fact, some people work themselves to death and still can't afford to die. That I'll never get to wear my best friend's clothing line. Apparently the crime that killed him wasn't worth doing more time. Fuck. The news outlets just want to keep us scared. That I can never turn on a TV and believe a single word I hear. Goddamn, I'm sorry, guys.
Come on, man.
You got this.
I'm so sorry. The first one kind of messed me up, man. Okay, I'm sorry. The news outlets just want to keep us scared. I can never turn on a TV and believe a single word I hear because I have no idea what to believe anymore. And can someone tell me why the fuck teachers are not paid a lot more? That old men have final say on what happens in the body of a young girl. That money isn't even real and it still rules the world. That my fellow American is in so much strife. All we wanted was an education. Then we got hurt or injured and now we're set back for life. That I had to learn all about these hoes named Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. Fuck Christopher Columbus. But I had to learn all my own. There was no payment for Sacagawea. That the Crusades ever existed. How dare you take arms in the name of religion, then use its symbol as your sigil, and use that same cross to venerate your vigils. Man, we are so severely misinformed. We fucking found out that aliens are real, and we went on like it's the norm. The government hasn't put something good on the table just yet. And even though we didn't invite them on this date, they still insist on splitting our check. Now, we will go to jail if we fail an audit, but they will probably get bailed out if they fail an audit. And I'm really angry that there's always money for wars, but not for those who fought it. And I'm angry that people choose to be bad when they could be so good. I'm angry about all of this shit. And you should be too. I apologize for getting a little choked up there, but like I was saying, some of that stuff's a little difficult. So thank you for giving me this space. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, you got me choked up too. Where's Emily at? Emily was adamant about you can't cry. Punkers don't cry. That's bullshit. You got me crying every time. Well, this next poet's also an author. We carry his book at our bookstore. But I'm really excited because this will be the first time that I've been able to hear him read poetry. And so please help me bring to the stage Walker Root.
What's up, guys? That was great, man, by the way. That was awesome. I'm glad I didn't bring any, thing too heavy because I don't know if I could have followed that. Hopefully these will make you laugh or, at least on your breath. This is called Camping with a K. There were no cops in that area, not for many miles anywhere. We, the family, got to drinking one deep and nowhere night of raccoons and buzz of electric light. And we got to telling stories because that's all we had. And that's when the town snitch came up and our hearts revved with booze. And we decided to go for a drive to kill his family's mailbox dead. The moon was there the whole time egging us on. As we, with tools from Grandpa's workshop, drove by quite slowly. The crickets chirped and the forest was black and alive, and we battered and bludgeoned the big country-sized mailbox to death, hatcheted and defunct in the big moon night, knocked clean off its post, dead among the pine needles and crisscross over the pavement. We roared off on the winds of our success, and maybe that was the last time we'd be a family brought together in such a way. And I miss my brothers now. Did they miss their mailbox? They must have seen it coming. Some very backwards country growing up shit. Southern Oregon living. Alrighty. This one is called Ticker Tape Millionaire. Honestly, not the best title. The money buried in the yard was like the poetry buried in your chest. Not all of it would be recovered, some of it lost forever.
The dog is only pregnant for 2 months at a time. If you broke me open, then it would have been like the guts of a piñata spilling onto concrete. You'd have to dig deep to hit the marrow, to suck the fat. We left a marker there for ourselves to find later, but the landscape has changed. The unknown has come to live and eat and hibernate all over again. The alluvial sands of the job, the wash of the traffic, the love you made in your backyard, the terrain, all looks like a bad haircut. And who's to say where it has gone to? The heart-pumping veins of gold up through the earth. Where's the baby that you once were? When your dad first resented you and your mother held you close, where's the poetry that your mother harbored all those months? Buried just below the surface like $1 million. The answer to a lifelong riddle. It won't be easy to find. This is a fun one. No one was there for this. They'll get a good chuckle. It's called Worth It for the View. Before we ever finished putting the roof on the cabin, we lay there under the mercy of the sky, and we knew as soon as we went starblind that we'd soon be rained on in our beds. This was before we were blessed with the gift of electricity and the weight of the sun pressed against our ice blocks back into tepid water. Problems you never have back in the city. And I'd taken on some food poisoning, something wretched. That night I ran down the muddy hillside in only underwear and headlamp. And halfway down the trail to the outhouse, the headlamp died. And in the pitch black, I stopped suddenly. I fell. I shit my pants. Through the blind darkness, naked and in a fever, I hiked back toward the silent cabin, grappling with trees, with the evil that possessed my guts. My underwear lay crumpled out in the woods like some unspeakable animal corpse I hoped I'd never encounter again. But I always enjoyed that old open-faced outhouse, its view in the dank mornings, gazing down the mountain into a graveyard of trees, with families all gathered around their fallen king, because you don't get that in the city either. One more quick one and I'm out here. This one is simply called 86th. The judge told the man not to go back to the casino, where he'd been picked up for loitering. You're banned from the premises. If you return, you'll be trespassing, understand? Yes, I will. Sir, are you telling me you're going to stay away? You will be arrested on sight if you go back. Well, I will, I tell you. Okay, I have no choice but to give you some time to reconsider. That's going to be 15 more days. He knew what he was doing. Why go through the trouble of getting booked again? There was one guy, a defendant, there to tell you what to say, and another guy, a judge, there to tell you if you'd said the right thing or not. Of course, you never knew until it was too late. While the judge flexed his authority, throwing off 15 more days here, 30 there, the whole thing seemed flimsy, propped up by empty structures of power. My turn came and I said what words I was told to say, and we were all sent back to our cells, happy to have the whole charade over with. Thank you guys. Thank you so much to Shwa and Trigger. You know, the culture in the city sometimes feels a little thin, and I feel like they put in a lot of tough work to kind of flesh it out and give people a place to speak and be, so appreciate you.
appreciate that, Walter. There's so much talent in this town, I feel like we don't do enough, to be honest. But we're totally fucking exhausted, so I guess we're doing a lot. I'm always super happy to bring this next poet up. They're beautiful in every way, and so please help me bring the secret poet to the stage.
I'm here to share some of my secrets, but you guys aren't gonna tell any of them, are you? Can I get a shh? So I usually introduce myself with, it's a little poem of an introduction, but I am the keeper of secrets. I strive to encode them. I write for me, I write for you. I write for those who feel but can't find their words, and I share to release what has been kept for too long, and I share so that you know you're not alone. But still, I keep the secrets. All right, so for those of you who know me, I've been writing for a long time, but I never would call myself a poet, and almost everything that I wrote was never meant for the consumption of anyone else. So through this healing journey, part of what I've asked when my family comes is, you get to come see me, but don't ask any questions, because
No questions.
But yes, I have family here today, so through the journey, sometimes I can't always find the words to express everything I feel at the moment, but somehow when I sit with a pen in my hand, it just kind of flows out, and then here it is. And another step of that healing journey is when I finally get to release those and bring them out. So I probably will get a little emotional. I am already, shoot. It's not time for that yet. But so some of them are the heartbreak side, some of them are the healing side, but well, this is what's coming out today. So you may have heard this saying before. Speak along if you know it. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Right, so this is my version of that. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words hit my gut like a bullet. Over time, the flesh heals on the surface, but inside, those bullet shells remain, leaving a stain on my self-worth. Can't see my writing. No one else can see these scars. And I know they will all tell me it's not real, so I stay quiet. And only I know how I feel. And that itch can be scratched, but it never goes away, so I cut as I pray. With my knife in my hand, I need to cut those bullets out. I need this for me, but that pain is so deep. And those bullets, in a place they never did belong, but still they take up space. And the scar tissue grows and covers anything they try to replace. And I wish they could only just be erased. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So I scratch and I scratch until I make myself bleed. And those bullets can't just be pulled like weeds. So knife in my hand again, I need to cut these bullet shells out. I need this for me, but the pain runs too deep. My inner child weeps and my soul grieves. And I continue to slice and I dice and I turn and I even twist the knife because I hurt too much to just cry. So I cut and I slice and I dice and I slice and I cut all the way to the other side. As sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words are in my gut like a bullet. And I've had words shot at me several times, and they still echo inside, and they pull me back in strides. sometimes tell me to take my own life. And there are days it's a fight just to survive. Yet somehow I'm still here to take on another pain. The damage is there, it already exists, and whatever it is, it can never hurt more than this, more than it already did. And even though those bullets still exist, it's okay, and there's no more shame. Now I live in an armor of thick skin. So say what you gotta say, I'm here for it. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Alright, so it took a second. Now I gotta wipe my eyes so I can see what my next one is. Because I don't memorize anything, much like you said in yours. It's too traumatic for me to memorize. So I read it, I release it, and then I'm done with it. Usually about 2 or 3 times. So this next one I want to share is also really hard. It was hard for me to write it. It's hard for me to read. I've only read it once or twice, but well, today I'm going to read it again and you get to hear it. It needs to be released again. Damaged goods. Have you ever had damaged goods? They're damaged, defective, broken. Why? Possibly, those packages could have been mishandled or mistreated, or maybe due to poor packaging, it may have needed some padding, even if the item didn't seem delicate. Maybe there was bad housing. Damaged goods. It could mean the rejection of a good product when it's found out that they will not conform to your expectations. Or you may refuse the acceptance of the package as a whole because maybe it didn't come with instructions and it's just taking too much time to figure out. Or maybe the instructions are written in another language that cannot be easily translated and you just don't understand. However, most people feel it's okay to take it out of the packaging and sample the goods. And if said product fails to satisfy your needs, then it's okay to return it, replace it, exchange it, toss it, trash it. It's damaged goods. But if you accept the merchandise before discovering the defect because it was not readily apparent or easily discovered, or if you accept the product knowing it had defects and reasonably assume the defects would be cured or you wouldn't mind them so much, but they have not been. And it's believed by many that this will substantially impair its value. However, if you decide to keep said product, does it enter into a contract for future performance? And do you feel entitled for some compensation for this faulty product? So you can exchange it, replace it, return it, toss it, or trash it without guilt for something shiny and new, untouched, and never used? Well, what happens to this defective or damaged product? Does it get returned to sender or used for parts? Will it be put on a shelf or at a severely discounted rate or auctioned off? And if no one still wants it, eventually it will be donated or shipped to the land of misfit toys. So when you came looking for me and my warning label was all but a neon sign, what did you think you were going to find? I never claimed to be brand new. You claimed you were okay with it. You read through my disclaimer and you still took me home. You got me to trust you, and I let you in on the story of how I ended up there, and you looked at me in a way I've seen before, but never from your eyes. And you said, "You're damaged, do you know that?" As if I were not already painfully aware. You said, "I'm not meaning to be rude." I wish you were meaning to be rude. Then it would bring out the fight in me and I could have taken it a whole lot better. But you said it so genuinely, like you really thought about it and you care, but maybe it's just too much. Maybe I am just too damaged for you. So now it's time to return it, replace it, exchange it, toss it, or trash it. Damaged goods. Your face says it all. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And no matter how much I'm healing, no matter how much I've accepted all the things that have happened and the beautifully broken parts of me that remain, it feels like every time you look at me, all you will ever see is the damaged goods. To be returned, replaced, exchanged, tossed, or trashed. But after some reconsideration, you feel like maybe you could put it aside or turn a blind eye, and you are still willing to give it a try. Well, it's mighty kind of you, but no thanks. I'm headed home, back to my island of misfit toys, where my imperfections are perfectly normal, and all I need for my ticket to get there is my beloved sticker tattooed on my chest that reads, damaged goods. So my head held high, off I go then. There's no place like home for damaged goods, because it seems only there anyone can see the original message underneath the sticker that reads, fragile, handle with care.
Tina, secret poet. You know, that just inspired me for another poetry fest. We do a poetry ball. They're just poems that make you cry. They could be all, yeah, cry fest. All right. Well, I'm excited about this next poet as well. Chris saved us when we had a poet who dropped out for one of our intimate evenings, and so we loved him then, and we're really excited to have it all here. Please help me welcome Chris D'Erica.
Well, that was intense right there, so. And this, I don't know. I think I cried when I wrote most of this stuff. Of how bad it was. So I didn't know what to read really, but Avantpop published a couple of my poems recently, so I'm going to start with one called The Last Wild Rose. Listening for the monolithic sound blood makes as it gushes from an ordinary wound. Darkness spins in viral conniptions, a vector between common sense and outer space, a place of joy and ruin, peace and disfigurement, stretching its lizard legs, glacially yawning cliches and white noise. The dregs of darkness spew candy viscera and rainbow carrion. Native swarm gobble up the darkness, unplugging the moon to signal roses to sprout from fields of asphalt. So anyway, on that positive note, I'm gonna move on. So, big fan of blues music, and we're driving on the way here. I was listening to some blues stuff, so I have some poems that are sort of related to that in terms of the spirit of it, I guess. So this one is called Blood Music. And actually it's two poems. I'm going to call it audible. I'm actually going to combine two on the spot.
Woo!
Let's see how this goes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. Doesn't really matter. You'll have no idea what the beginning and end is. It is what I said. So, Blood Music. Great flesh of lips, espresso dreads, low-down twang of chromatic variations, throat lumps, wet serrations, revelations from a monkey's gland, Wringing hands in the murky twilight, rivers catching rain, blaze-on eyes, the color of absinthe. Wooing the wild serpentine, shoulder blades clacking, summoning the kitten's cry, the wolf's submission. Moon-grown sighs and cloud-cotton vistas, warble of smoke rings, castanets, incantations, co-opted, appropriated, dispossessed, unrequited. Blues is a rusty old horn, blues is a trickster whose woman is a cheat, a woman whose man stands accused. Black is the depths and the brilliance and the bitterness, chopped into shards, incense smoke and earth. Darkness, eloquent in all its kinks, dark strata of memory, of history. It's the blue note, the worried note, the flatted third, fifth, and the seventh. It's the sharp tip of a heart exposed. The smell of another off a lover's clothes, smear of lipstick on a motel mirror. It's the love song of a bullfrog, green eyes of a city girl on a trolley car, deep in the hills, the indigo purr of a moon-soaked night. Bone-white fangs starve for blood. Ooh. I think that came from a different poem, like a horror poem or something like that. But I think it fits. Somehow, it's danger, hurt, and madness. Orchids bloom best in dark jungles, wrapped in thorns, bleeding out, blood that is an allegory to ancestry, blood of privilege and American pop, blood as a record of protest, bloody lips that will crust over, blood of mimetic gesture. Blood wants to stay inside its body, blood without agenda, blood that can never be put back.
Yeah.
Going along with the theme of carnage and blood and bleeding and being cut and whatever else. Okay, this one's called Skin. Skin, the color of your first car. Skin, the color of that black. Wait, hold on a second. No, I fucked that one up. Sorry. I get a little ahead of myself. Skin, the color of your first car. Skin, the color of that backdoor clinic. Skin, the color of your mother's eyes, like a lost record album pulled out of the bargain bin that plays slow and you're embarrassed, worried to admit you dig the schmaltz on scratchy nights alone. Skin, the color of currency and blind ambition. White blood cells thrive in arguments. Skin, the color of wanting and waiting, a depiction without shape, not made of solid things. Skin, the color of all your father's intentions. Skin, the color of all your failed achievements. Skin, the color of at least one miracle. Skin, the color of straight vodka. Throb of heartbeat and hormones, disposable income. Skin, the right color to paint the garage. Skin, the color of that new mole on the back of the left thigh. Sunburnt from a summer on the beach. Shirtless and greasy skin, cheeseburgers and box wine, smoking weed and sneezing and tying shoelaces, scraping knees on the pavement, picking up the pharmacy prescription. Skin and all your nail-bitten narratives, nothing deeper than blood from skin. Let's see, here's, I got one more, or two more. Whatever, we'll see. Here's another one that was published by Avantpop. And by the way, thanks Nancy for this great venue, this great gallery. Thanks Shwa and Sugar. This is great. Okay, so this is sort of like I do a lot of list poems, I guess it's called. And you get what I'm talking about. It's called Silence Bomb. Silence has a poker tell. Silence is a gateway drug. Silence is a knee-jerk reaction. Silence has thick skin and no guilt. Silence is an ineffectual apology letter. Silence is a tiger with a thorn in its paw. Silence has an ugly mouth to be slapped. Silence has a clean mask and a dirty mind. Silence cannot be indoctrinated by dictators. Silence is a dead leaf falling from an oak tree. Silence is a magnet for ghosts and chalk outlines. Silence is a shape-shifting zombie showing its blurry teeth. Silence is an unreliable narrator entitled to run its mouth forever. So, okay, I guess I'll do one more. Getting lost here. So, now I don't know what to do. I have one, but there's some nasty words in it. I think there's juniors here, so I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with it. It's pretty racy, but maybe someday. Maybe if somebody gives me a token and you get a private. No touching. No touching. Just use your imagination. But here's, all right, so this is the last one. This one's called The Love Supreme. All music is in the understanding of one note, said the Indian master, Sarah player Ali Akbar Khan, romanticizing mystical oneness, wind instruments, darkness as a myth, guilt worn like a hat. The roundness of an old vinyl record turning clockwise under dust, gathering around the head of a silver needle. No need for robes or doctrine when the saxophone blows. The blues is all the stuff going into growing up, said John Coltrane. Rising metal, modal tempo, minor key riffs, and the gospel release fractured into polyrhythms. A cane to the head, a broken lip, Zen-like weightlessness. Wise word from a woman in a pink hat, heavy with desire for liberation. Voices from the margins sing from the diaphragm. The art of a bygone day is no less valid for being an orphan, said music historian Dennis McNally. Shout out to Dennis, I have no idea who that is, but anyway, sorry, I fucked up the rhythm here, but the last part goes, human lips subjugate the reeds. Reeds whip tender flesh. The chest holds the heart and most of the blood. Yeah. Thank you. Christiana. I love how he just wanders in, drops some heavy cool poems, and still wanders, and it's like a ghost. Well, the person scheduled now to read showed up earlier and read for somebody else who wasn't here. So you've already heard him, but I'm going to go ahead and bring him back up. Garrett James Brillin. Garrett James Dillon.
There you go.
Doing poetry.
Oh, I don't remember any of those.
Jared.
I've been to Doom Poetry. That's news to me. This is a terrible threat, and it's even a worse intro, but I'm not going to read anything until we get a round of applause for everyone else's read. That was stuff. It shows me to close it out. That was interesting. All right, here we go. Well, this first one is called Untitled. Bled dry and begging for the sunrise, I wring out my sleeves for leftover tricks, hoping for some counterfeit salvation or at the very least a loose Seroquel, but find nothing except battery acid and bullet casings, glass eyeballs, and loaded dice. Wasted records like relics to be hoarded and worshipped by headless mannequins frozen in obscene poses as they wait for their chance to scream. The enemy of my enemy is my only friend now. As the butterflies embrace cannibalism and the shadows dance in agony down unnamed roads littered with crosses and confetti towards treasures too terrible for our pitiful language to describe. The madmen who once raved about Armageddon in the streets have all gone mute and speak to us now by way of a dead, unblinking stare, the color of diseased milk stretching 99 miles in every direction. It is the only joke left to laugh at, and the only gospel left to suffer for. It is the only promise that cannot be broken, and the only truth that will ever set you free. I suck at writing love poems, and this next piece is proof of that. I'm way better about writing about drugs, and this next piece is proof of that. Here we go. This is called Fiending.
Man, I've spent a lot of time tripping, but this time I've fallen hard and don't want to get up. Makes my heart flutter like methamphetamine, gets rid of my worries like a handful of Xanax. Now I'm in hole so often it's like I'm hooked on ketamine. Never used a needle, but it's stuck in my blood and well, that tracks. More euphoric than a Dutch ecstasy pill, more addictive than pure Colombian coke. I can't wrap my head around this strange new thrill. It gets me higher than anything I've popped, snorted, or smoked. And that's no short list, my friends. If you didn't know, rest assured. From acid to Zolpidem, sweet Satan, I've had myself a time. Lost plenty of cash to the trap house, but never been robbed of my words. This is one of the trickiest poems I've ever written. It's not about misery. Fuck, it even rhymes. Almost. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not getting right. I'm still eating the alphabet and washing it down with booze. But none of those things can help my withdrawals tonight. I'm hungry for the only fix that'll get me right. Darling, I'm fiending for you. Ooh. This next poem is about my best friend, my worst enemy. I've never met him, but if I did, I'd kill him. Terrible, terrible human being. Anyway, this is called The Man from Nowhere. The man from nowhere was never here. He slept on the steps of pristine chapels in cities eaten alive by locusts, moving ever closer towards the third sun, a rare form of dementia, his only guide. The man from nowhere won't come back. He was last spotted dissecting stray dogs in Phoenix with fresh swastika tattoos on his face, but spit out all his teeth and ran before mob justice could be enacted. Traces of his urine were found on telephone wires. People don't talk about it much anymore. The man from nowhere keeps on moving. He was really wanted for arson and consensual sodomy in Mississippi, but got a sex change and found God somewhere in Iceland. Relatives claim he always carries broken glass in his pockets. When offered medicine, he curses in dead tongues and has been known to extinguish entire species in his sleep. He claims an obscure supernova remnant as his address. He votes every week. The man from nowhere hasn't died yet. He subsisted mostly on drywall and endangered snails and bought his soul from Satan for used gloves. His grave is located somewhere between the Pacific Ocean and the Great Void. Some say he was born in a hurricane. The man from nowhere looks to the side. The man from nowhere has no right to exist. His addiction to indifference and crushed finger bones, fueling small tribal skirmishes in parts of the world where human flesh is still considered sacrament, and butane is the main food source. He has stated repeatedly and at great length that he has no interest in happiness or love. His only goal is to rate Jesus Christ in heaven. His only loyalty is to Jesus Christ above. The man from nowhere returns home. He is carcinogenic. He is apoplectic. He is apocryphal, shifting narratives and tectonic plates with the obscene grace of an epileptic abortionist. His last will and testament is a Jack Chick comic with everyone's eyes crossed out. The man from nowhere fucking hates you and me. When given the choice between immortality and amorality, it was said that he laughed until his lungs collapsed. But everyone who claimed to know for sure died shortly thereafter under curious circumstances, while the man from nowhere kept on laughing.
Yeah!
What happened? This last one is also in the book of poetry. I think I mentioned the first set, those who weren't here. Reflections of the Haze, my good friend Seth's illustrations, my poems.
Yeah.
I'll get on with it. This last one's called Losing and Laughing. It's funny to think how we never stood a chance, incubated in insecurity and then let loose to conquer. Expectations infected at conception, swelling up like angel's lust, then devouring host and dying all-American. Symbiosis at gunpoint, force-feeding a dead culture, its proudest tradition, the worst possible outcome. Like aggravated arson in the bloodstream, the suicide bullet christened and deflowered, your prayers unanswered and buried in the backyard. No room left for the common shaman or con man, just ripped off rain dancers lying face down in the mud. Never forget that life is always funny. It just ain't always your turn to laugh.
Garrett James Dillon, everybody. Let's give him a hand. I only butcher his name, so I got a contact time. Sorry to share. That's round two, folks. We're gonna take another break, and we got our third round coming up. Yeah, let's take the colors. We're gonna take a break now to about 2:15. So head on back to the bookstore. Enjoy the art here. You can get readings done. There's Sister Kim's next door. If you need a little bite to eat, we still have our dessert folks out, and we'll see you here in a bit.
I'll take care of
This is like magic. Like, oh, we're gonna open mic, we're gonna do some poetry. And it's like, we're gonna hear some of your poetry.
Sorry, guys.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna get this little guy out of here. He's getting restless. I'll be back.
Okay, go.
This is awesome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Pleasure.
Yeah, man. Pleasure to meet you.
Ricky's sister.
All right, Bert. Yeah, I'm so glad. He's super talented.
Yeah, so, he's done something. The very first time I had like and I'm 25 now, so it's like weird, you know?
Yeah, Joe had to excuse himself and call a family member or something about a medical thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. How long have you been here?
I'm in Norton Square, I'm in my second year.
Oh.
I was upstairs for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. It's nice to have your own spot.
Yeah, we're walking back, and take my picnic back there.
You've been
there's one other element that nobody gets to see.
Oh,
Hiding in plain sight that you have to, part of my visual language leads to looking at things from a new perspective or in a new light.
that's so cool. This is a little random, but I just finished rereading Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. They do,
Lucky
you know,
you.
like I love how Ensemble focuses on the day glow so much, you know.
Lucky you.
And
I haven't heard that title in a while.
Yeah, me too. I think I read it 20 years ago, and I just reread it. Yeah, but that's cool. And you gotta get some black lights in here.
Well, I do have, so I've got black lights in the track lighting. Normally I keep these lights way down, and then, also, so you start to see a little bit of the effect, but not a lot. You know, it's just enough that everything is still visible.
But it kind of like pops even like.
Right,
a little,
right, just because of the light wavelengths.
Yeah. Very nice. Use restroom again if you don't mind.
Trash cans right there too, and well, also.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish eating my salad. No, you're fine.
Just finally waking up, fixing coffee. Oh, no, I went to the elevated coffee truck. I was like, great, it's right down the block. I was like, wait, I was like, cause I didn't have coffee this morning, so.
Heard that we were supposed to have it, but I didn't see it earlier.
Yeah, they're here right
Oh, now they're here. Okay, that's too late for me to do coffee now. No seat for me tonight.
So you were a hair metal band pretty much?
Oh, well, more of a classic rock cover and then original band in Montana. Open for all the access that can come through
Oh, nice.
in Helena and stuff. Anyway, they're called the Nazareth, the Cheap Trick, to Sammy Hagar, to Joan Jett, to
Nice.
River Band, to Kansas, to
Here was all the legends.
the George Thorogood, Scorpion, Slaughter. No, we didn't do Scorpion, we did Slaughter.
That's pretty cool.
Lots of we were really the only Montana band that was fronted by a woman.
Really?
We do original works as well as classic stuff, so for our gigs, opening for acts, we do all the original stuff.
Very nice.
Many years ago, but I still have photos which are hilarious. Show them, like, I think he's more delighted by the hair, the makeup, and the costumes than anything else he knows of me in real life.
The only one famous musician in that was played back in 2010, I think, Paul, at Boulder Station. And nobody knew who he was. He was just walking by. I yelled, "Hey, Benny Paul!" And he was like, "Yeah, one second, I use the restroom real quick." And
As
then,
human as the rest of us.
right, exactly. And then he came back and we just started talking and everything about music, this and that. Then he had to go to gigs, he had to take off. Then he offered me an autograph and everything. Like I didn't even think about the autograph or take a picture. It was just cool to just have a talk with him.
I mean, and that's the funny thing, because everybody always have, shoot, how do I do it? It's like, no, I said, they're doing the same thing I'm doing. It's like, there's nothing, they have celebrity, but it's nothing special in terms of they're not any different than what every other, musician and artist is. And
Yeah.
they just get to do what they love for the rest of their lives, or however long they're gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
And, so it's never, in fact, some of the bigger name acts were just blown away, because I had a female bass player who was like 6 feet tall, and they were just like,
Really?
oh my God. Yeah, I mean, they were more intrigued than us as musicians, because we put on a show.
It's interesting how they're definitely no different from us, absolutely, because they're just like us, they just don't make a big fuss over it, like other celebrities do, and so forth, which is pretty great, honestly. Most of the male musicians, they're just like way too chill.
Yeah. I mean, I've had artists that wouldn't let me actually leave the stage after performing, that I had to be like side stage, and like, okay, Pat Travelers was one of them, that opened for him several times. Cheap Trick was one, and
I got a Cheap Trick fix, the movie Heaven and Hell. That's how I got into Cheap Trick. And some other musicians such as Riggs, that did the song Radar, Ran Funk Railroad. Before I saw American Band, it was their song Queen Bee, which is awesome, my favorite. I did get to see them at a hot rock event in Old Henderson. They were really great. They put on a hell of a force. Though they didn't play my favorite song, Queen Bee, but I was like, well, it is what it is. At least I have the bragging rights to say I saw them.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's always made. In fact, George Thorogood wanted our band T-shirt. His tour manager kept t-shirts. It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, because our name was Roxloyd, ROXSLYD. But his alias when we would check into places, it was at that time was Roxloyd.
Oh.
And, you know, like, sure thing, George, you want our t-shirt? Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
They are really good.
Yeah, they are really good.
Yeah.
Love the thing.
Well, thank you so much.
This is a great venue, by the way. All the abstract art and everything.
Well, and it changes, so at the end of this month, I'll be taking this show down.
Oh, really?
But I try to keep it, so it can still be used as a venue, as opposed to just an installation. Sculpture installations coming up, that really takes a lot of
Are you getting like sculptors pretty much? Like other sculptors or?
Yeah, so my work is rarely in the space. In fact, the last time I had a solar installation was during COVID because nobody could come out, artists canceled, so nobody really saw it. And then I had a calendar opening every year. When people kept letting me about showing my work. Okay, I'll do that. And then have it up in the end of the year, take down next exhibition or something. It's space dollars used for showcasing local Vegas artists. We have artists now here, world artists now. And try to take the pressure off of them having to be commercially, retail viable, so that we can take a lot of chances and sell really good art.
Yeah.
But it's something that to have conceptual artists that are doing things that are way outside the box and that are interesting. People need to see, experience, because how do we educate people that art is, you have to show it.
Exactly.
And same with written word and spoken word, is like, how do we
Yeah, cause
expand our palette, so to speak.
versus my poems and all that, so what I do is I'm pretty much a content creator, and I use visual imagery, whether it's like pretty much like mostly through video game screenshots, like video game photography in my head, those just to give the feel of the poem. Most of my followers, they of course don't read it, of course, but that's not right anyway. You know, either way, it's like it gives off the feel of what I'm like describing and everything, and visualizing and so forth. Because my poem, they tend to be my poems are pretty much like cryptic and a little more big worded, pretty much, which I unfortunately kind of have that habit of and so forth. But I'm like all about, because I just describe like imagery and so forth.
It's your language.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, it's like, I have a certain visual language, other artists have a visual language.
Exactly.
Different poems and writers, and they have their absolute, whatever is their DNA wants to express.
Pretty much, because I like write dark, a little bit of horror and cosmic stuff, and then I at one point I'll mix it up with some other thing depending on the thought topic really, and so forth. Because and there's even like times where I'll hear like some music and I just get too inspired by something.
Yeah. I'm also a musician, obviously, so
Yeah.
everything vibrates. So you'll see, feel things that vibrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, how do you?
Excuse me, that's door. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll put it, I'll do put it one. That's the last time I changed
Oh, it's a pin for you.
So you can choose your seat, put your bag down.
Yeah, it's one of those like, with all the things I do, it's pretty much like, so most of the time I do things too, and try to second career out of, just because I now I'm a writer for a video game in-depth, which we just started a couple months ago. We have an investor, of course, so we're just kind of like, we're doing it on our own, and like others, they're like able to like move out of state,
I can't because I got to finish my bachelor's degree. So that's almost like, leave out that kind of leave something that we like.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I do is I just write poetry. They use my son of poetry to tell stories.
Oh, absolutely. Well, prose is, that's a very effective way of communicating our reality.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many forms of, poetry, essays, prose, whether it's rhyming, whether it's not, haiku is like, how do you?
I've met some writers that are just like too restricted by certain rules. I'm like, why? That's kind of the piece of purpose. I need to get to it.
Do I need to tie your shoes?
Oh, yeah, that's lovely. He came to the door.
I can get it.
Thank you.
I can get it.
That's really why I came here.
These are nice.
Yeah, okay. They go with your artwork
And
here.
they do. I know, that's why I asked if you did, because I know back then people gave away.
Thank you.
Oh, you doing good?
Yeah, how's the being built?
I
Hoping
know.
by next spring.
Keep watching the progress.
Full
That's
time.
fantastic. You do have. I need to shine the UV flashlight on your shoes, see if that picks up anything. I'm serious about that. I'm grabbing one right now. It's like they're my colors, Mom.
I got pink ones like this too.
They're my colors.
Lots of more pink ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
See, if I'd gone to clubs, I would have known.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
I mean, even the yellow on the. Yep.
Oh,
Those are
I
great.
love it.
I need some of those.
Ask him where he got them.
I know. Size 6, ladies.
6 ladies. To be specific.
Hint, hint.
You got tiny feet.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm
so.
watching you on that new piece too.
Oh, you gotta come back and see that.
Where are your batteries? You just have everywhere. What is it?
Yeah.
Keep on ticking.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Timex, keep on taking, take a look and keep on taking.
Yeah.
That's why.
Energy, money, or whatever.
But, outdoor patios, there's,
Bring them in.
yeah.
Well, that never brings them on springs. It just floods once in a while. You're having a lecture today.
Well, we're starting the 3rd round of poetry arcade. So we have, so Avantpop Bookstore.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that.
So we did one last year, really well received. So we're doing today, and then also starting tomorrow. And I'm doing a movie screening tonight too. It's 5:30. Yeah. Get back to you.
To dig up my poetry.
So I've got early art dump screenings tonight in this one,
That's
I
the
love,
latest.
yeah, so well, this was the one that I debuted in Reno. And then I've done one between that one and, or this one and that one.
Yeah.
But I've got a poem that's actually hidden in here.
Oh.
So it's very synchronistic to have.
I was on the lines, yeah.
Yeah, the poetry arcade.
Cool. I think we used to have words in it.
Anyway, yeah.
Glad I got here. I love these hanging lights.
And they're mobile. I actually let people go inside them, because they're like a chrysalis and a cocoon, and they're two-sided.
It's regular candy.
Yeah, it's just canvas, prime canvas with the grommets installed. So great fun. $3 tips. That's like, providing the venue for free and trying to get donations.
You gotta read some book.
I'm not scheduled to read.
Look forward to this. I'm in Palm Springs, it's so weird. I feel so, it's so small. I feel afraid to get out of this.
Really?
Yeah, I was nervous to drive here because I haven't been here.
I saw your post about the traffic coming in.
Yeah, that's all I needed. It went away.
Well, let me get a hug.
Yeah, happy holiday.
Merry Christmas. Give
Yeah,
people a hug as
I
well.
will.
Yeah, if you track the Avantpop,
Oh, yeah. Letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, this top store, interesting. Bookstore. Huh?
Yeah, well, it's a independent bookstore, distributor, publishing,
Huh?
and, kind of counterculture, just quirky the way bookstores should be.
Yes.
And they're constantly getting great stuff in there. Reviews, books are phenomenal, so I have to temper my trips over there, otherwise I have to say, art trades, so I can buy some books.
Yeah, I used to love the old bookstores in New York. I hear they're going away. I would spend hours in there.
I had a couple of guys from New York come into the gallery yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It's like, how'd you find me? Oh, we follow you on
Oh,
Instagram. I was like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we love what you're doing in the gallery. I'm like, well, thanks. Thanks, finding me from New York.
Well, let's get a picture because we did a quick picture a while, but
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. Thank you.
Here you go. I'll send that to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
Keep up the work, girl.
Get my little turtle-like chin. I was like, oh yeah, that's okay.
Stop. All right. See you soon.
I'm just glad I have a chin at 63 years old.
I know. I know.
I know.
At 74.
I know. Love you.
over the, you know, there's a.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's must be
Oh, no, we're out.
Right.
We're-
Right.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm just for people who want to.
Oh, for sick, gotcha. Okay.
And what about that, anything else?
So I love doing like early art film, film history.
What?
That we don't get to see normally. So,
Right.
Oh.
That's true. Film one from 1923,
when you get up really fast and fast.
1906. And both have very important
I need
roles.
like,
Talley was the first full-length feature film anywhere in the world.
It's one of them.
Three Robbery is also the first narrative film to be not movie action. So it's like you're throwing
It's smaller than this. It's smaller than
I just made people go get dinner and come back then. Is that okay? Okay, yeah, let's.
I've looked at this and I start getting 60 cans.
Oh.
We've been pretty in the grass.
It's good, but it's slow.
Yeah. I'm getting that. I'm just waiting for the rest of the folks to come in. 2 minutes, you're good.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. Thank you.
So if you're done feeding your face.
This is our friend Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
This is Shwa. Him and his wife own the Avantpop.
We just met.
Yeah. Good. But I can't, I'm talking to you too. Come on, so.
Actually, this morning,
I figured if anybody. It was all this, she went to the hospital. We just such hard, man. We loved her. We were so excited about her. Yeah, we were reaching out, talking to her. Yeah, it was a fun situation. I think she was a roof. She had some friends, but. Get them.
Is anyone?
If they don't have name tag on it. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, I figured if we might follow it up. Good. All right, we're getting the last couple of poets coming in. I think they're just grabbing the people, but I'm gonna go ahead and let Nancy step on it.
Thanks everybody for being here and for adding to the energy and the vibrations and the wonder of this space. That's what this space has always been about. I'm in my 6th year as a gallery here, and I loved when Avantpop first moved in and started talking about the potential for collaboration, and that's again what I believe in what we're doing as a community in Las Vegas of artists and writers and thinkers and lovers, and that's really, really important. So one thing I did want to announce, some of you may have already missed, or may have missed my first announcement. We were standing in front of a painting that actually has a poem hidden in it, in the red banding, so I love that synchronicity. And if there's time at the end of that, I'm happy to read it, otherwise you can find it yourself. And the other thing I'd love to announce is this afternoon at 5:30, early evening, I will be doing the third or fourth movie screening. I love diving into film history. We don't have enough spaces that provide a glimpse into that art form as well. Sometimes I'll do really obscure, weird, very bizarre art films. Today I am doing 2 early films. One is The Great Train Robbery of 1903, and the second is the story of the Kelly Gang of 1906. And the importance of these 2 films relate to, one is the story of the Kelly Gang is the first length narrative feature film produced anywhere in the world, and that was in Australia. And there's very few fragments of that left, so I've got small amounts of it, enough to for people to get an idea of the story, but also see the importance of it. And then the other one, The Great Train Robbery, was also acknowledged to be the first narrative film to have achieved continuity of action. And so thinking in how we do films now, and continuity of action is expected. It's understood. It's like inherent and integral to what films do. It didn't used to be that way when film was first starting. And so the artists that were creating these films were starting to solve problems of storytelling. And so I love doing those things here. I'm probably going to ask Shwa to leave this podium. I'm going to put the screen up here, put the projector right back there. I was like, yeah, when we talked about this date, I'm like, yeah, I could do a film screen right after that. It's already set up. So anyway, 5:30, if you want to come back for that, you're more than welcome to. And again, thank you for being here. I know what Shwa and Sugar are doing with Avantpop is very much a labor of love. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a labor because of the love, but we still have to pay our bills. So if anybody is so inclined, please donate or tip the gallery, the venue. It costs me money to be here. It costs them money to be over there. Support the people who are supporting you. That's what it comes down to.
Give Nancy your money.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Nancy. Now I have one final poem of my work. I'm gonna save it for the end. For the show, we had someone come to us that's a beautiful being who writes poetry and wanted to come to one of our events. Her name is Yodassa Williams, but she just tells us she's Yoda. And that right there just made us fall in love with her. It was really sweet, nice. Unfortunately, Yoda had some health issues, and she passed away this last week. Yeah, it was really hard for a lot of her close friends. We had just met her, and we were crushed. She was that kind of person. So what we're gonna do, Yoda had sent us some of her poems, so we thought we'd play one. She is recorded on SoundCloud, and then I'll read a little thing about her here. Yodassa Williams was a Jamaican-American author who crafted from an Afro-feminist fantasy lens. Yodassa taught storytelling craft to youth and adults and performed her own personal parables on stage and through podcasts. In October 2019, Yodassa launched Writers Emerging, a 4-day wilderness writing retreat for women of color. She aimed to serve Black femme creatives. Her debut novel, The Goddess Twins, was published by Spark Press in May 2020. This YA fantasy details the adventures of a 17-year-old Caribbean American twin discovering that they are goddesses when their mother goes missing. So Yodassa was incredible. We have a little spot up here that has a QR code that'll send you to, I believe it's her SoundCloud, which has a lot of her work on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and play one for you right now. The title of this is Serena Williams. This is Yodassa.
Serena Williams is a celestial goddess whose indestructible spirit was formed eons ago from the combined power of 3 imploding moons and the cosmic love emerging from a field of star clouds. Once, when Serena Williams was a young goddess star child, she collected stray asteroids and fashioned them into a belt. Later, after napping, she stretched them out and played intergalactic hula hoop with Venus. But then Saturn got all jealous of how fly the sisters are and decided to steal that. And that's the real story of how that planet got its rings.
Yodassa Williams, please give us a QR code, scan that, check her stuff out. She's amazing. Her book's available out there. I don't like to say the A word, so I won't, but you can find it online for sure. So, thank you guys. I appreciate you listening to that. Our next poet is a good friend and also owns a bookstore and is one of our favorite emotional poets as well. Just knows how to spit a verse, if you will. Please help me welcome to the podium here, Roderick D. Talley.
Thank y'all. Before I get started though, I'm gonna move this a little bit. And I just want to, I don't know if there's any friends or family of Miss Williams in here, but I want y'all to know that y'all are in our prayers during this rough time. It has a lot of different effects on people, whether you've known her all their lives or have just happened to run into them and only got to meet them a few times. But that just shows the magnitude of some people when you can meet them once and they have a major impact in your lives. So shout out to her and her wonderful family. I'll definitely be keeping them in our prayers. And I hope us fellow poets that come up today can live up to what she's been doing and pay proper homage to her. So, yeah. So, this first poem is called Rough Starts. It's for those days when we just wake up on the wrong side of the day. So I pray that this is a blessing to y'all. I'm not feeling it today, y'all. I am just not feeling it today. You see, I've been feeling out of sync ever since the moment I woke up. I'm already distracted by multiple things and the sun ain't even fully up. I'm already running late for a couple of appointments. Today, I just feel like I'm a big disappointment. I don't feel like being a positive person. I just feel like swinging my fists and cursing. You see, I've been reading a couple of guidance books and devotionals, but I'm frustrated as all hell because it feels like the lessons in them haven't taken root in me at all. I feel like I'm growing distant from my Heavenly Father. I don't feel His presence anymore, and it's got me quite bothered. Today, I don't feel like being a soldier in the army of the Lord. Today, I don't feel like wielding my indestructible sword. Pray for me, y'all. because I don't feel like fighting no more and being a good soldier. But see, I know that the love of God is what has kept my heart from becoming heavy like a boulder. I know very well that I am far, far too blessed to allow this feeling to dwell throughout the day and indulge in this mess. In fact, I can hear the Lord telling me, wake up, King. This is only a test. Wake up, queens. This is only a test. Rise up out of that place of shame, doubt, and duress, and get back to fighting a good fight, and continue to press and get ready for the new thing that God is about to do in your lives next. Thank you. This next one, I turn it up just a little bit. We're all positive-minded people. I know we're all wonderful people, but every now and then we got to put our foot down on some people.
Come on.
Just let them know we are not the ones.
Hey, come on.
Please come correct when you come step to me. That goes for any negative-minded people, any naysayers, and especially those crooked police. Please don't take me for someone who could be easily manipulated. Rethink your agenda if your plan involves testing my patience. Now, I'm a blessed man, and I love being a blessing to others with my resources. But taking my kindness for weakness will make me burn your bridges and scorch them. So please do not force him. Being a man of God doesn't mean that I must be a weak human. Being a servant to the people does not make me a doormat for men. My character has improved steadily and exponentially, yet knowing when to be confrontational has kept me upright on this journey. You see, I now rather pray for fools than have them stretched out on gurneys. I now rather pray for my enemies who still wish to torture and burn me. I'm looking to be a blessing. While they are watching me closely, looking for a chance to strike, I'm looking to be a blessing to those in dark phases and bring them some kind of light. While you can find them hoping, wishing, and praying for my silence and downfall, you'll find me praying for people at my business, on the streets, and even on some late night calls. There's too many people suffering who need help and encouragement for me to be concerned with the naysayers' nonsense and negative comments. I'm not half the man Jesus is, so there's a chance that I'll revert back to my violent ways. You might see me on the news in handcuffs and somebody calls my wife out of her name. Y'all, we have a savings account just for bail money should we ever have to take it there. And I promise you I'm not trying to. And I'm really a nice person. So please come correct and remain out of my crosshairs. All right, this last poem. I always got to pay, well, not every single time, but I feel the need to pay homage to my beautiful wife. Been married, 8.5 years, still honeymooning. We're about to be parents. In those times, you really learn a lot when it comes to marriage. There's a whole different set of nonsense and barriers that come with marriage. So all of you all who are married or looking to be married, I encourage you, I implore you, I pray for you, and I encourage y'all to keep working together as a team. Because there's so many things that will cause division in marriages. And it always starts out small. So I keep y'all in my prayers. So being that my wife is a beautiful woman that she is, I always got to pay homage to her. I actually start this poem off with a Bible scripture. You know somebody's been good to you when you go biblical.
Hey, yo.
In Proverbs chapter 12, verse 4, the first part of it says that a wife of noble character is her husband's crown. Think about that. A wife of noble character, being herself, her wonderful self, is a crown to her husband. That's beautiful. I'm living proof of that. I love discovering that the scriptures written in the Bible are true because, Mrs. Talley, this scripture surely applies to you. The Lord had this scripture in mind while he was creating you. The Lord knew that you would captivate my heart before I even approached you. I fell in love with everything about you. It was much more than just physical attraction. You stimulated all of my senses before we even took part in any physical action. You constantly set off fireworks inside my mind far before intercourse became intertwined in our numerous avenues of love expressions. You make love to me in so many different ways, my queen. You make love to me with that smile that you share whenever you see me. Your support of my decisions show that you love the spirit in me. You make love to me when you talk to me with respect. You make love to me when you take strides with me without fear or without regret. You make love to me as you pray for me throughout the day. And more love is made as we talk to each other about our days and how they went, as well as every time we hold hands. You make love to me when you encourage me on being a godly man. The love shows as I become more and more ready to fight anyone who has something negative to say about your height. But see, your love calms me down as you remind me that everything is all right. I love and appreciate every single thing about you, my virtuous queen. I pray that our love continues to grow to the point where it's contagiously seen by everyone who comes within our vicinity. Thank y'all so much.
Roderick D. Talley, yeah, good looking guy. Yeah, I was gonna say, with that comes birth. And I will put my money on it right now that after that baby, Roderick's gonna be crying after every poem he reads. So I'll tell you what, it'll do it to you. It'll do it to you. You just wait. Congratulations, you two. All right. Let's see. I'm excited about this next book because I gotta say I'm pretty excited. Alex, alphachimera.
Yeah, you hear me well? Yes. So thank y'all very much for having me here. I'm pretty much humbled and was nervous this whole week. So I definitely want to thank Schwab and Nancy for this opportunity. And definitely want to give a shout out to my two favorite poets I've gotten to know very well, Tina and Rick, right? So he stepped out for a bit. Yeah. So my poems are pretty much like very abstract and cryptic. So if it kind of goes over your head, don't stress over it. But they are pretty much like wide variety of scenes. So this first one is called Harmonious Ghost Writer. Tranquil with my lonesome comfort, removed myself from futile discomfort. Time needed to sit and unwind. Sandalwood incense settled my chaotic mind. Untangling clutters of tied up knots, collecting deep memorable thoughts, whether good or bad they display, whether beautiful or loathsome they betray, whether successful or botched they play. Spirits stand by me as I chronicle my journey and growth, lightening the weight of my heavy oath. Souls terrified to spend their precious time alone, yet I find joy in my company while in the zone. Before me an alluring moonstone, shining its light on the road of the cosmos, inviting to be explored, daring to be ventured, frightening to be shattered, but an odyssey for a chronicler's journal. Rest and stillness has taken place, no time to waste and wait, a spiritual writer ready to make haste. Yeah, to give a little context because it's pretty much like how people are too afraid to like spend a long time. For me, I enjoy my own company really, and sometimes you have to be alone to be with your thoughts to like collect yourself.
Yeah.
Now this next one is my personal favorite that I've written like earlier this year, where I pretty much am very selective of who I let in my life, but then I kind of treat myself like an ancient tomb with a bunch of death traps. This is called The Butterflies of Chaos. Lingering songs of obscurity, whispering all around me, carry-ons that could drain my life, or blooming souls to better my strife. Butterflies of chaos shield my aurora. Spirits fight them to cross over. Some die while others witness my exposure. But can they survive the fauna of horrors? Digging deep through the marrow of trauma, they reach the core of conflicted personality. The flourishing hearts explore my chemical imbalances, embracing my natural state to nourish my broken essence. Vigor-draining fiends flee with intense fear. They could not withstand my tremendous atmosphere. I flow between the parallels of sin and innocence. I grant truths as I see through their thin lies. I drown them in the darkness of shadows, and soon they will see the butterflies of sparkling light. And this next one is dedicated to a longtime friend of mine who unfortunately passed away in 2019 while staying in a sober house trying to get her life together, which she didn't make it, unfortunately, and it really paralyzed me because I thought she had a chance. But every so often, she would visit me in spiritual form, and she stopped for a while, and then I read this poem at Rebar, and after that, she visits me again. I'm like, all it took to get you to visit me was just to read a poem? Talk about summoning the dead through that way. This is called Ghost of Ecstasy. Long ago, before your passing, you returned to me one last time, like a natural yet incurable virus. I was not angry nor happy. My flesh solidified into steel, my eyes turned into armed sentinels, loaded to defend my consciousness. My mind became high on vigilance. Ready to fight your narcissistic disease, instead you shocked me. Your torso was cut open and outpoured your blood of confessions. Every piece within you revealed in the autopsy your guilt, your regret, your abuse, your toxicity. Forgiveness I bestowed upon you until the Grim Reaper said, your time is due. Instantly, my body became paralyzed while I struggled to rationalize, only to feel the heavy weight of sadness. In the night, I hear your echoes of cheerful ambiency. I feel your ethereal warmth of thrilling ecstasy. I see your infectious smile and golden hair. Every visit from you is a gift I'm happy to receive. Seeing you here was becoming easy to believe. Seeing you here, One night you said you were the only friend I had left. There were no more visits from you after that. And that was the last time. In the end, I bid you adieu. I'm gonna close this one. It's got a little lengthy, but it's very graphic. And like Garrett, I've had similar experience with years of drug use. 10 years clean and sober, by the way. This is pretty much like a horror almost. It's called Blood, Rust, and Crystal. In my mind, 100 burning candles drip of melted wax. A long hall of dark, rusty rooms filled with lost souls in trance. I savor the metallic taste and can't keep my heart in place. Broken down by my toxic controller, but have yet to be taken over. Became my own worst enemy that strayed me, but was too weak to force it away from me. Like a disease, you arose from the grave, Like a narcotic, my addiction can't break away. Like an angel, I begged you to take my pain. Like my thick blood, you ran deep in my veins. Like the forming rust, you turned my sanctuary into decay. Like a gleaming diamond, I smoldered and inhaled your aroma in my wake. When I met you, my world chaotically spiraled upside. As I got to know you, my mind was abused by constant voices. After spending time with you, my body was left massacred and tossed to the side. Reawakened, my hands were soaked in somber blood, while exhausted bones shook as I stood. I may have lost myself for good, but my body will heal on its own. In my wake of self-destruction, I became my own salvation. You may have been my crown, but my bond with you must be cut down. A lot of your poets have really inspired me a lot today, so thank you very much.
Alphachimera, everybody also wants Alex. Thanks, Alex. That was great. I was so excited. I got to see you perform. It was fantastic. All right, I got one more poet for you. We'd like to kind of close out with. I'll say some words before we pop out, but I'm a big fan of this next poet. We brought her in not long ago to the intimate evening of poetry next door at Officer Collecting, and she crushed it. Just crushed it. So please, Aaliyah, come on up here.
I am the coolest person you'll ever know, so I do have merch. If you ever check it on Instagram like that. Thank you so much for having me. I prefer these over like slam poetry events. That's where most folks know me from. But I hate those events because I don't like to compete with my art. I don't like to be judged on what I have to say. These are safe and intimate spaces, so I thank you for cultivating that. Shout out to them. I have 4 pieces today. Usually I do 3, but I was just inclined to say more. So my first one, this is like way back to my open mic days, which I feel were decades ago. I'm not that old though, but yeah, a long time ago, because Vegas went from open mics, everyone and their mama had an open mic, and now everyone's holding a slam contest. And I'm like, damn, we need to bring back open mics. So this one is called I Forgive My Parents. I forgive my parents for everything that they did and how scarred they left me from an adult since I was a kid. How neglectful they've been, how dismissive they could be, all the shit that they did and didn't notice was going on with me. All the problems that I had that they downplayed, and how they even threatened to not accept me if I was gay. How sometimes I didn't even have the basic needs. No food, no power, no water, forcing me to think necessities were luxuries. I forgive my parents for everything they ever did to me, including how much trauma they've caused me mentally. See, parents are supposed to love you unconditionally, at least what they say based off of chemistry. I forgive my parents for all the things that they did, or should I say didn't do. I wanted to kill myself, and do you think they had a clue? How many times I cried myself to bed, and how abandoned I felt with them leaving. Pride caused them not to ask because they knew deep down they were the reason. I forgive my parents for putting me in the middle of their separation and only thinking of themselves, and not considering the child that they made or even how I felt. I forgive my parents for not showing up to things that were important, and them being the reason why my view of love is so distorted. They're just a product of their shitty parents, and those parents' shitty parents. And the burden on me is to end it, and I can't bear it. Matter of fact, I don't even want fucking kids. I would never damage a seed I planted like my guardians and gardeners did. I don't want them to ever feel unloved. I don't want them to be arrogant. And I don't want to be the reason why my child needs a therapist. Real. And what's worse is, I know my parents didn't do it on purpose, but the pain I buried inside is finally coming to the surface. I had a partner that used to hit me, and they'd say, I can't believe you would stay with someone like that. Like for 18 years, they didn't claim to love me, but put a belt to my back. Or when someone unworthy works their way into my heart, they judge. Like they didn't say the reason I'm whooping your ass is because it's out of love. Growth has me learning that do you want something to eat is not an apology. And I don't let them manipulate me or use reverse psychology. Or when people say I have to go, that doesn't mean they're leaving for good. And I go to those who support me, blood or not, so I feel understood. Parents, you did your best, but I need you to do better. I'm finally letting the real me out because back then you wouldn't let her. And parents, I wouldn't dare read this poem to you and have you turn red of embarrassment even though you gave me the blues. I've learned coping mechanisms and self-love that help me get through these tough issues. And that's why I forgive my parents for all the things that they did and didn't do. Poem. I am very good looking because of them though. They have some big bosses. This next poem is called American Pie. I wrote it when I was a teacher. I'm still currently a teacher. Worst thing I could ever do. In my next life, I will definitely get my body right and be a stripper. Since I'm in this life stuck, yeah, I'm a teacher right now, and I just view it as like, you know, those social workers who go in and they're like, I'm gonna change the system. Clowns. That's me. That was definitely me as a teacher for the longest. And then I started realizing, like, oh shit, this is like a 300-year-old system. My bad. Like, I was not gonna change it teaching world geography. So this is called American Pie. Stop telling children they can do anything they want to in a system that wasn't built for them if they're any other color besides red, white, and blue.
Come on.
Stop pledging allegiance to a flag, promising our youth that they'll be a star, when its very job is to keep them shackled exactly where they are. Children of color can't be policemen, firefighters, astronauts. And before you turn your nose up at me like, I don't believe, how many of those do we got? And can you really attribute the lack of numbers to the lack of ambition? Or are our dreams and capabilities capped quicks and go into populating prisons? So before we sell the American pie, we gotta look at the baker's roots. Because the darker the berry skin, the less chance you have to juice. Good for you if you're white, cisgendered, male, able-bodied, Christian. Unless you fit that description, you don't belong in this country's vision. I mean, the country was built off our backs, so the people in it should be kissing our feet. Instead, our hands are behind our back, and blue uniforms and badges are the new white sheets. So how do we make it out? Because it isn't through false hope. The odds of you making out are lesser than you ending up homeless, dead, or broke. So try to better yourself and get an education, where you get marked truant and get punished if your class seat is vacant. But what if your parents don't have a car and we live too far to qualify for school transportation? Resources are limited to those in poverty. That's the new segregation. Or maybe you're privileged enough to get the education you deserve. That is, of course, if you survive the next school shooting or massacre. Fuck it, get a job and make money the old-fashioned way. But your application gets denied because you didn't make it past the 9th grade. Now you're underqualified to make over minimum wage. So if you don't do anything, at least hear me out and take my advice. American pie is only sweet for those lucky and white enough to get a slice. Questioning immigrants if they're sure that this is their chance at a better life. Because as a person of color in this country, all you're ever experiencing is strain and strife. So please refuse the piece of the American pie because the fruit in it is strange and it's rotten inside. Boom. So on that same sentiment of race, being black is hard, and it's hard for many reasons. All the intersectionalities that come with it. Like, yes, I'm black, but I'm also a female, and I'm also queer. And black people hate queer people. Like, that's real. And so I'm always mixing and mingling how I belong and where I fit in the spaces. And yeah, I'm over that. So this is called Black Enough. You can't be full blood black with hair like that. Too brown to be white, too light to be just black. I'll assure you one thing. I'm black enough to be racially profiled, especially in ethnic stores roaming around the grocery aisles. Asians know I'm not Asian, and white people know I'm not white. Pacific Islanders know I ain't they Booth, and Hispanics know I ain't they essay. But black people will ignore my blackness whether I'm wearing mudcloth or kente. Like, how do you know I'm black enough to say nigga, but not black enough to be one? You don't know I'm black. You don't know I'm black, but the cops never had that issue. Light skin to you, but to them I'm as black as their pistols. To me, you want me to unsee my 3D because you're one-dimensional. But black is a spirit, it's a culture, it's ancestral, way beyond the physical. Just know my life's mission isn't to prove my existence, especially to a group of folks in society that don't even fit in. I've been called light bright, red bone, yellow, even glow in the dark. In the mirror, I see black, but to you, you see a question mark. And for those of you who have to ask, please kiss my black ass, or if it makes you feel better, my beige ass. And the same ones who question me if I'm black, they give their Mexican homies the N-word pass. So before you ask if I'm black and what, nigga, please back up. Just know for a fact that I'm black enough. Home. Okay, so the last one is my favorite one to end with because you would think with all this talent and personality, I'd be married by now. I'm very single, like as single as it comes, and like I don't even have people texting me, and I'm like, damn. I know I'm not the drama though, so I refuse to even believe that. But I keep encountering these folks who are not ready. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's just a weird stage in my life, and I'm like, I felt that if I was sure of myself, I would attract people who were sure of themselves. But no, I just attract good-looking people because I'm good-looking. So this is homage to every girl I've encountered that had some hang up on why they couldn't be with me. They're lost, but still. So this is called Weekday Blues, which is also on my album, which is also in my merch. Shameless plug. All right. Always. Monday. I knew from the moment she walked in, the girl with the brown skin and copper hair was destined to be my sin. Never shit where you eat, a message holding much weight. So I tried to play it cool and did my best to play it safe. But she approached me first. Uno card reverse. I was taking detours at work and pickup lines were rehearsed. On Tuesday, I found out D'Angelo's Lady was her fave. So on Wednesday, playlists were exchanged. I even doubled back to a store I went to on Thursday because I saw a plant she might like in the nursery. I asked how we could get in contact, so she gave her number to me. But I thought about her for days. I couldn't make it a week. So I asked if she wanted to hang. It was first Friday. But I invited my brother, so it didn't seem like a date. She fit in well, and what made it better was come and share from strangers on how good we looked together. So we thrift shop up the blocks of my favorite city, and she said she never knew downtown could be so pretty. Those feelings had me giddy. I was arm in arm with my dream girl. Her nails would stroke softly and make my arm hairs curl. And she had to spend the night because her car got locked in a lot. Look at the universe throwing me lobs. We didn't get sleep because we stayed up and talked. we shared our deepest secrets and most intimate thoughts. We shared the same experience of having mothers we lost. Emotional intimacy let boundaries cross. Morning came, she had to go. Therapy at noon. We didn't want to say goodbye, so I said I'd see you soon. She invited me out that same night. I ended up at her crib on a Saturday. Damn, I wanted her in the baddest way. Because the moment I saw her, and the moment we kissed with passion, I knew I wanted to wake up next to her and help take off her lashes. I wanted to see her messy butt as soon as I wake up. Ass down, face up. She was even pretty without makeup. But it's by Sunday she decides that this love affair just came at the wrong time. If we weren't co-workers, she would give this a try. If only circumstances were different. But she knew the circumstances before we did this. And now I have ideas on my Pinterest, her on my wish list. She sold me a dream and then she jumped ship. I can't get over that face. I can't get over that touch. She crossed the line, but now I'm stuck like fuck. That boundary's valid given our profession, but that boundary's also blocking her biggest blessing. We went from see you soon to I see you when I see you. We talked about a baby girl and naming her Maria. Maria being my middle name and Maria being her mother's. Now we walk past in halls like we don't see each other. I can't even send this poem like we didn't even meet. I try to reach out, but blue message turned green. I'm followed on everything. Damn, babe, it's like that. Do you mean it? But people do crazy things when they're fighting demons. But I wonder what her therapist said and what her group chat feels. And if she meant what she said and what we shared was real, she probably still listens to that playlist. But here's something to replace it, baby, play this. How she left me feeling still has me in a daze. A nigga just hate feeling like I was a phase. Her sexuality a question mark, now it's a period, and I hate that I was one of her experiments. This my last time, and everything I said I meant it, because this the last time my heart breaks off pretty privilege. Like, how am I supposed to get over you, and I was just under you? We had so much in common, but it was just trauma bonded. Poem.
Yeah, everybody. I love her so much. Puts a smile on my face every single time. Well, folks, I'm gonna shut this down here now with one last poem for you from myself. Now, there's been a lot of heavy, a lot of intense feelings today, so I thought I would slow it down a little bit, just get a little silly with you. There was a time in my life that I too wanted to be a rock star, and unfortunately, my voice is more made for death metal, so I didn't do that. But I write a lot of poetry that sounds like songs, and you know they call me the Dark Dr. Seuss, so a lot of my stuff rhymes and it's a little twisted. And so to stay with my theme today and family, this one is called Your Mama. Your mama's drinking wheat grass. I've seen her in the morning with a big tall green glass. She's growing it up like the Gaia Earth Mother. She's drinking it down like I've seen no other. Your mama's eating tons of kale, dehydrated chips, and fresh salads by the bale. She's growing it up like the Gaia Earth Mother. She's chewing it down like I've seen no other. Your mama's growing hella weed. She says it's a strain rich in CBD. She's growing it up like the Gaia Earth Mother. She's burning it down like I've seen no other. Your mama's a nut when it comes to her health. She knows deep down it's the greatest wealth. Your bacha mama. Everybody, I want to thank you. Like Nancy said, it's movie night here for Contemporary. Please come spend your tokens down at the bookstore with all of our poets. What else do we have there? Tarot, typewriter, just cool stuff. Come on down. And thank you again, Nancy. We're doing it again tomorrow, folks. So you know where to find us. We got a whole another round of great poets. So please continue to try.
Thank you so much. Yeah, here you go. Thank you.
Yeah, somebody.
Thank you.